cloud. Yep. Okay, guys. So welcome to 6med session 2 for the BMAT. So today we're going over problem solving, and I'm just going to get the presentation up right now. I'll just start sharing my screen. Start broadcasting. Get the and then go back to Keynote, which should be somewhere over here. There we go. This is a bit awkward. Come on. Okay. Keynote. Where is there we go. There we go. Much better now. Okay, and for this one, I'm going to just rotate my screen because last time I knew that it was not as useful. There we go. So just lock screen. There we go. Okay, so how are we all doing for today as well? Can you hear me? I'm just checking. So I'm going to check the chat. Okay, there'll be recording on the website. The session is a bit more organized as I've had a bit more time to plan. So hopefully it should be a lot smoother as well. So let me just check. Okay, so I'm doing beautiful to be up. Okay. Okay. Oh, Italy. Nice. Okay. There's two people from Italy today. Nice. Welcome, guys. Okay. Great. The recordings will be sent on the website. The session will be around 1 hour. Here we go. So the session will be around 1 hour. If you'd like to talk to me, then you're welcome to message me on WhatsApp through the 6med group chat as well. Or you can just also email team@6med.co.uk, or you can just, look at, you can just literally text 6med through their website. Ciao, Italiano. Stile Sicilia. Okay. I'm not going to start with my broken Italian. I've been learning Italian for the people that don't know. Okay, so someone asks about the BMAT online software. I might go over that. My plan for today is mostly go firstly for problem solving. And if we have time, then I'll do that first. If we don't have time, then I'll just essentially transfer that over to section 2 because section 2 is going to be a lot. There aren't many questions for section 2. So I can just have plenty of time, whereas this one has 16 questions to go through. Well, at least that is a plan. So I'll try to get as many questions in as possible. Yes, okay, so for this one, people asked me in the previous session, okay, Martin, can you go over the section 1 paper? So I'll give you guys around a minute for each question, and then I'll walk over it. So you guys get some value from the session, so you give it a go, and then I'll do it myself. So how does that sound to you guys? Awesome, thank you. Okay, so I'll just go over this presentation real quick, and then we'll go over the real juicy bits and the actual questions. So let's just get over and done with. So welcome to 6med Surgery, guys. As I said, this is session 2. The recording will be available on the 6med website in about 3 to 5 days. Usually this how long it takes. Usually Sebastian's quite fast at editing this. You'll get the presentations, slides. You'll have access to the papers as well. You can also go to Cambridge Assessment website and go for the specimen paper because it's one that I'll be using today. Yeah, for strategies, I feel like I'll just go over the strategies while I'm doing the question because problem solving is not really preparable. And if you're one of my students, I've told you this already. There is not a single way to prepare for problem solving because the questions each year are different. So preparing for problem solving is not a good idea. Just prepare for methods. Have a specific methods, work through the questions systematically is what you should be going over for problem solving. For critical thinking, we'll go over that in the next session. Today, just problem solving. So let's just find a bit more about who your host is for today. So my name is Martin, and I'm the Reddit BMAT exam owner. We have around 10,000 visitors for like the months before the BMAT, so in October. As you can see, we've had up to 13,000 in a month. So pretty much every single candidate last year has used our website to get support from us. It's free. You just post a question on the forum, you make an account, and you make a question, I will answer it, or a member of the community will answer it. If you have questions about medical school, it's not just for the BMAT. If you have questions about interviews, questions about personal statements, medical applications, everything that is being sorted, you can join our WhatsApp group as well if you go to subreddit, and you can join Discord server. You can also join the one on 6med. I recommend it. So I took, yeah, see, that is correct. I took 7 A-levels. I would not recommend it. It was a very bad decision. I did well, but I just didn't feel like it was a worthwhile. But I did it because I enjoyed my subjects. Don't do it just because you want to get into medical school, because it will not help you at all. I scored within the top 5% in the BMAT. I will actually be setting the BMAT this year again, just to see and track the difficulty of the progress. So I'm always up to date with every single year of the BMATs. So I'm a very experienced tutor. I have over 100 hours of tutoring, and also taught multiple students. I've worked with schools in Canada, in the UK. I have also connections with schools in Germany, so Berlin International School, between and many others. So yeah, if you have any questions on not just the UK, but other systems, for example, US, Singapore, Thailand, pretty much, the Hong Kong Special Administration region, and any other, pretty much everywhere, you can ask me, and I'll probably know a bit about it. So yes, I also wrote a couple of books. No, they're not available on Amazon. Those are like books that I just use for teaching, and also sometimes you get into other tutors as well. I've taught BMAT for hundreds of hours and have insider knowledge. So in 2019, I was invited by Cambridge Assessment to set the trial paper. And that trial paper has basis for future papers. And that means that I actually know, I have a rough idea of what the future questions will be in future papers. A couple of questions from that paper have actually showed up in both the natural science admissions test and the BMAT. So the very last question in BMAT 2020 was in the trial paper 1 year ago. And many more questions will definitely come up eventually. So yeah, I definitely have not just a lot of experience, both as a candidate and as a teacher, but I also have a good number of insider tips from the BMAT consortium themselves. No, I'll not be telling you what the questions are, because that will be unethical. I'll simply be guiding you and giving you guys some hints here and there on how to prepare for those questions, because those questions will be very hard. And yeah, if you want to check the YouTube channel out, I'll probably plug at the end. It's Martin Pereira. I'll be posting some BMATs, UCAT interviews, and personal statement videos very soon. I have a couple of them. If you message me on WhatsApp, I'll happily send you some of the recordings, as the videos are currently unlisted. But I'll be making some high quality videos in the future, as I'm still getting some camera gear. But anyways, without further ado, so what you should be getting away with from this session. So first things first, you'll get some concise info. So you won't have to try to figure out how to actually improve your score, because I've done that research for you. It's all here on the plate. You literally just have to learn it. We'll look over, you must learn without wasting your time, because you only have about 5 to 6 weeks to prepare for the BMAT. And that's not a lot of time, because you have UCAS, you have year 13 to, you have interviews to start worrying about. You probably have, what else? You probably have sports, you have a life. So we want to make this preparation as efficient as possible. Also, I'll be answering any questions you have, so please put them on the Q&A and the chat, and I'll answer them. If you have any specific questions, for example, I bought something and it's not working, email team@6med.co.uk, because that's the kind of how they'll be providing that. If you have any other questions, you can always message on WhatsApp, in the 6med group chat on WhatsApp, on the Discord server on 6med, or the R-BMAT exam WhatsApp groups and subreddits. The recordings will be available on 6med.co.uk/QA surgery. So QA-surgery. So you'll also be able to download the slide as well. Should you need, the recordings will be available as well. Finally, I'll be walking over some questions. I'll try to go as many as we can within the time frame, as it is only an hour. So hopefully you guys find that helpful. Right, so yes, I included a meme this time because it's not 6med surgery without the memes in the slides. So problem solving, it requires a lot of brain power. But what I love about problem solving is that once you get the actual answer correct, it's so satisfying. You're like, oh my God, finally, I got the answer. And then you'll just feel like this guy right here once you get the answer. You'll be like Jeremy Clarkson. My genius is almost frightening. So yeah, guys, I'm not going to try to make this cringe. I'll just remind you, some of you, if you didn't attend the last session, the BMAT this year will be 2-hour tests, and the software that will be used is BTL Surplus. If I recall correctly, this is the software that will be used. So it's not Metal. So last year was Metal. So it's not this one anymore. It's going to be this one right here. So hopefully, if you're retaking the BMAT because of Metal, then you'll be pleased to know that you won't have to deal with them ever again. It's a much smoother platform from what I've seen. I've had a chat with the Cambridge Assessment Consortium. They've mitigated some. They've looked at some issues from last year, and they'll hopefully work through those so it won't happen again. So hopefully, but yeah, guys, I have a personal recommendation. So do not use your school's laptop, because your school's laptop will usually be from the 1950s. It's probably older. It was probably the first computer ever made. It will lag quite a lot. So if you don't have any stress, don't use your school's Chromebook. You'll have technical issues because they'll probably give you a Windows XP laptop. Oh, I love Windows XP. But yeah, so they are forcing you. So they can't force you, because you can literally phone Cambridge Assessment and tell them you don't have to use school's laptop. So your school can't force you because, well, they could, because it does the test center, but the Cambridge Assessment allows you to bring your own laptop. So it's a discretion of the test center. So argue with your exams officer, with your head of sixth form, bring your parents in. They should allow you to bring your own laptop. And guys, please, and this is something I have to emphasize, make sure that you do not have any spell checking software during your BMAT, because you will get disqualified. Some people have Grammarly last year. Guess what? Their test got cancelled. They had to take a gap year because of this. And I've seen many horror stories, not just a friend of a friend, but I know people from last year that had to take a gap year because they used Grammarly, and they got caught because they do check. So there's like systematic, I think it's simple random sampling that they use, or just systematic sampling. I'm not sure. It's one of those, but they do check, so you don't have any surprises and get your test disqualified because of, accidentally forgetting to uninstalled Grammarly or any other software. So make sure that you literally have nothing. Oh yeah, so the fee for the BMAT, so it's a 2-hour exam, has 3 sections. It will cost 61 quid, 92 quid if you're international students, plus the invigilation fees for whatever your test center is. Hashtag capitalism. This is why I prefer lowercase letters. You get the joke? Capital letters, capitalism. Anyways, so yeah, so we have section 1, which is critical thinking and problem solving. There are 32 questions for multiple choice, and the answers will be from A to E. For section 2, you have 7 biology questions, 7 chemistry questions, 7 physics questions, and 6 maths questions, which is in total 27. And again, you have options A to E usually. From what I've seen, they've kind of removed the F, G, and H options, or at least they're not as common as they used to be. I think that they're trying to standardize this a bit more. So yeah, key dates, you can just go to the website, admissionstestings.org, or you can just Google BMAT dates and costs, and you'll find there's a link. To register, the registrations have already opened. It's on the 1st of November, and they'll close on the 15th of October, which is the UCAS deadline. So make sure that you register before the deadline. Some schools have an internal deadline, so make sure that you check this with your school or test center so you don't miss out. The test date will be on the 3rd of November this year, usually at 9 a.m. So let's say you live in Italy, for example. I believe it's 1 hour ahead of the UK time. So for example, you'd be sitting at 9 a.m. Italy time. So people sit it at different times. So guys, please make sure that you don't comment during the embargo. You can only talk about the BMAT on the 4th or 5th of November. So please don't spoil it, because you'll literally be giving an advantage and an edge to your competition. Again, we're all competing against each other. Well, I am not, but you guys are. So make sure that you don't just start discussing the BMAT unless you know that they've actually took the BMAT. And even then, I don't recommend this. Because deadline is in the 15th of October, same date as the BMAT. Dates and deadline for bursaries or reimbursements. They'll only reimburse 61 quids on 92. The tests and the visualization fees will not be refunded, unfortunately. You get the results on the 26th of November. This is usually at 9 a.m. At least last year was at 9 a.m. So make sure they check that. And universities will start shortlisting you from the 19th of November. This is usually at Cambridge. So Cambridge will start shortlisting you on the 19th, anywhere up to like the 1st of December, because colleges, they'll deal with their own admissions. So yeah, and universities up to UCL and Leeds and Brighton, whatever, they'll start shortlisting you from March up to up to March 2021. So yeah. So today we'll just go over the first half. So 16 questions for problem solving. This is not really relevant for today, but 27 questions, as I already said. You have half an hour, 3 science and maths, 7 for each science and 6 for maths. For section 3, you have the writing task, which is philosophy, science, and medical ethics. So 3 questions, you only pick one, and you have half an hour to plan and answer the question to the best of your ability. So today we'll just go over section 1. We don't care about critical thinking. We'll just go over the 16 multiple choice questions, which should be roughly half an hour. Right, key errors. Actually, before we go over this, I just want you guys to, what do you guys think are the key errors for problem solving? I want you guys to just tell me on the chat. So what are the key errors for problem solving? I took the BMAT twice, actually. I took it in 2019 and 2020, and I'll be taking it again this year because I like to actually see how the BMAT changes every year as I predict the boundaries. So do you guys know how the UCAT has interim results? So you get results before the final results, right? So some sort of like estimation of the final results, guys. Do you know this? So I make some of my own interim results. So I use statistical data from every year, and I use my own. I have some sort of formula that I use to determine the difficulty of each paper. And last year I got the boundaries spot on for section 1 and for section 2. So I'll be using those on my subreddits. So once you said that, I'll be predicting them. I haven't actually worked for them because it takes a whole day to actually work for the formula. It's a bit complicated, but I hope to actually release it on the 1st of October. So check the subreddit out. I do believe that, yes, I've actually had a talk with people here and there that submitted questions for Cambridge assessment for this year and from last year. And yes, the BMAT for section 1 will be harder this year. And I'll be telling you why later on my subreddit. So if you want to know a bit full on, because I only have an hour, so I can't literally just give you the whole juice. But if you want to have like the full thing, I'll be releasing a full on blog post on the subreddits on what I think the BMAT boundaries for this year will be, how many candidates we'll have, and a lot more info. And I'll just be giving you the whole rationale behind it. So it's not just me giving guesses, everything is data backed. And based on my own experiences as a tutor, as a test, I also write questions. So I write some BMAT mocks. So I have a lot of experience with this. Subreddit link, I'll just put on the chat for everyone here, if you guys want to join, but it's reddit.com/BMAT exam. If you guys want to check that out. Lisa, but I'll send it again as well. So if you want to also check out the YouTube channel and other stuff, I'll say people should not be worried for the BMAT this year. So I'll just keep giving it. So has anyone here looked at the interim results for the UCAT? So it's projected to be around 38,000 candidates for the UCAT. And this is bad news because there are only around 9,000 places usually for medical school. But let's think about this, guys. If the BMATs, so if we have more people sitting the UCATs, what does that mean? Because the interview spaces are usually roughly the same. That means that it's going to be a lot harder in the interview stages because there are a lot more people sitting in the UCATs. There will be, yeah, I feel like the interim results will be basically the same as 2020. This is what I think. From what I've seen, I've looked at the ones from last year. I feel like the top 10 percentile will be slightly higher, but everything else will be basically the same. So this is my estimation. though there's a lot more UCAT candidates this year, which means that it's going to be a lot harder to get an interview. So admissions tests are getting a lot more important, especially for universities like Bristol, Newcastle, Edinburgh, King's. So that means that if you take the BMAT, it's actually easier to get into university. And that's very counterintuitive. Let's think about this. If there are less people taking the BMAT, I'd say about, I haven't looked at the stats here, but say about, about 16,000 worldwide. So not just for the UK, but worldwide. And sorry about this random noise. It's my neighbor, and I can't do much about it. So yes. Right, guys. So 10%. I think it'll. I don't know the numbers from the top of my head. I have it in spreadsheets. So please message me on WhatsApp, and I'll just go over. I'll just check it because I don't know the numbers off my head for most of the time. I literally just have I have around 50,000 documents for literally pretty much everything you can think of, and I just check it, and I just make more documents. So it's like in my hard drive, and I don't have it here. I don't have time to check it here. But if you want to know, yeah, sure. It's this one right here. You can also message people from 6meds. I'll put it with a plus plus because for my international friends here. You can also message me there. You can also join the 6med group chat. I don't know. I don't have the link on with me right now, but I'll send it afterwards. Because okay, so I don't have the. I actually don't have this with me, but let's look at. So if you guys look at the previous papers, like from previous years, 2020 was the only year where 100% was a 9. You could, if you wanted a 9, you need 100%. Whereas for previous years, you needed around 90%, 91% for a 9. And they want to be consistent with this. So they'll probably try to bring that back to 91% again, which means that the BMAT this year will be harder. Because first things first, you guys have a really hard critical thinking questions from 2020. And I feel like the problem solving this year will be a lot harder. I may be wrong, I haven't, but from what I've seen, my friends, they submit questions for the BMAT consortium, and their questions have been very generous this year in terms of they've been quite challenging. So I've also had a look at the February 2021. So the paper that was not available online, I guess I had a look at it. If you start to, you can ask me questions just to check. I'm not lying. And the BMAT is going quite hard. So I expect section 1 to be a lot harder. Section 2 will probably be the same, but section 1 I expect to be a bit harder, especially for problem solving. So it's worth bearing that in mind. And again, I might be wrong because they're the ones selecting the questions. So Cambridge Assessment might just pull up for 360 and so that 100% will be a 9 this year again. But I would say they want to be consistent. So that a 9 is usually about 91% because 100% is a bit too high because, it's not about how good you are, but how little mistakes you make. So yeah, key errors. Panicking is the biggest one. Some people see a question and then the February papers are not available to the public, unfortunately. They're only available to certain people. So yeah, panicking. So a lot of people panic. Well, yes, it's basically it's quite similar to the student room. You make an account, you ask questions on the forum, and then people will answer them. It's quite similar. And I feel like, unlike the student room, we actually don't have people saying, oh, yes, so I have 26 A stars at GCSE. Can I get into Oxford or something like that? So don't worry, guys, we don't have those trolls there. We removed those. So yeah, guys, it's basically like student room, but without the toxic people. So yeah, panicking is one of the biggest aspects of the BMAT. So a lot of people will literally panic because maybe they spend too much time on the question, or they literally just think a question is too hard and like, oh my god, I can't solve this. I'm gonna fail, and then that will carry on for the entire exam. And then guess what? The mental like your mentality literally transfers over to the test score. So please don't panic. I recommend having a good diet as well. So people usually underestimate how important a good diet is. So make sure you have a lot of fruits and vegetables. I know there's like, because this is like what I call the exam diet. So fruit, salmon, a lot of simple carbs. Make sure you have those before your BMAT, because if you have healthy food, if you have more nutrition in your brain, you'll think a lot better. You won't feel like it's fatigued, whereas you eat a lot of fast foods. So make sure that around a week before you start to have, if you don't already have, make sure you have a really healthy diet, because it's quite important to actually, for the BMAT. And basically for every exam, like a healthy body translates to a healthy mind. Healthy mind means you can think clearer for the questions. So physical preparation and mental preparation is just as important as the academic preparation. So don't neglect it. Don't panic. There are meant to be puzzles. So be patient and just keep going. Like enjoy the journey. And I'll just show you in a second what I mean with enjoying the journey. Like just enjoy the questions. Be like, oh, interesting. I like this. Bad time management. So some people try to be a hero. So I always tell my students, don't try to be a hero, because getting 5 easy marks will help you a lot more than just 1 hard mark, because every question is worth the same. So it doesn't matter if it's easy mark, they won't care. They care about how many marks you have, not if you manage to answer the hardest question on the paper. So guys, please make sure that you look at it strategically. Like if you can't do a question in about a minute and something, skip it. Because it's just not worth it. Or we can just flag it. If you think it's going to take ages, flag it, come back to the end, flag it, guess, make sure you guess, and then come back to it at the end. Lack of planning. So I'm just wondering, who here just starts doing the question for problem solving? Who does that? So for example, you look at the question, you start doing it. Okay, guys, nice. But I feel like this depends on each candidate, but from what I've seen, people that plan before answering do a lot better. So for example, let's say they have, for example, I'm not sure. Do you guys remember those table questions? For example, there's a person here, there's a person here, person here, person here, here, and here, and you have to determine who sits next to each other. Like they'll give a lot of information. Like, don't try to answer the questions as you go. So think about this. Try to write everything down. Like, okay, so this person will sit next to this one. This person will sit next to this one. Like, think about it systematically. Don't try to do the question in one go. Think about it, break it into chunks, and then solve those chunks like one by one. And most of the times, you actually spot a smart way to solve the question faster. So it's definitely one way to actually go about it. So breaking the question up before doing it, usually it's actually just faster than actually just, doing the questions that come, because sometimes planning is a lot more helpful. Do the questions that they come. So for example, Elise sits next to Tom. Jackson sits next to Matthew. Hugo sits next to Harrington, etc. And then you go on from there. You probably need a bit more information from here, but the point stands is that you would need make sure you break down the question, because sometimes it's just a lot faster. Think of it as a puzzle. Do you guys do a puzzle in one go? Like, do you just get the puzzle pieces and put them in one go, and you get the entire puzzle? No, the way you do it is you do them piece by piece, and it's a lot faster instead of just literally trying to work through everything in one go, looking at the wider picture. Just look at everything, look at it in terms of lenses. So zoom in and just think of what you actually have to do. Right, so for problem solving, has 16 questions. You have around, I believe it's 1 minute and 53 seconds per question, if I remember correctly, which is 60 over 32. I believe that's what it translates to. You have your tables, graphs, charts, word problems, etc. So the main question types: tables, graphs, complex calculations, and logic. So what does it remind you of, guys? Does it remind you of any particular UCAT section? Yeah, a lot of people are saying DM and QR. What if I tell you it's completely different? They look the same, but they're not exactly the same. Because, for example, just maybe syllogisms, and for example, OT or X, some X. Oh, yeah. Okay, so then just say some X RV, etc. And then it'll give you like 3 answer choices that you have to work through, right? For decision making, right? This is the UCAT ones. This is more for critical thinking, but for critical thinking, you only have, for example, an entire passage. So you have like a couple, I think about 5 to 6 lines, maybe more, maybe less, depends on the question. And then you just have to select one answer. So it's a bit different. Like the strategies are completely different. So please don't bring your UCAT skills into the BMAT, because while the content is the same, so percentages, proportions, rates, averages, and algebra, it's completely different. So if you try to like, guys, let's be honest, if you try to use your physics strategies for chemistry, like, it's completely different. Like, sure, they're both physical sciences, but they're completely different in terms of strategies, how you approach the science. So in the same way for these tests, they're completely different. So remember, what you've learned in the UCAT does not matter at all for the BMAT. The skills are not transferable. Well, the skills are transferable, but the techniques are not. So you'll still need, for example, 1/7 equals 14.3%, and you'll have to learn all of the fractions. I recommend them from. I'll just try to raise this a little bit. I'll probably do that on the other slides. But in the Q&A, you guys can ask questions in the Q&A. But for example, I recommend learning fractions from. This is what I recommend learning for the BMAT. So 1/1 to 1/20, the full percentages. So 1 squared up to 25 squared. And then I also recommend 1 cubed. Yeah, my neighbor. Sorry about this, guys. 1 cubed up to around 10 cubed is why I recommend learning the values. These save you so much time. Yeah, this is the usual I recommend for people learning. 1/1. So 1/6 is 16.7%. And as you guys can see, I've learned pretty much all of them. 1/11 is basically 9%. And we just keep going from this all the time. So make sure that, sometimes you can actually work them out. For example, 1/12 is equal to 1/6 divided by 2. So it's like 16.6, 16.7/2, which is going to be 8.35%. Like, you can work them like this, but if you're a bit lazy, learn at least 1/1 up to 1/10 is what I recommend for the BMAT. And then the square numbers and the cube numbers will usually just save you a lot of time with calculations. And yes, that is what I thought. Imagine. Okay, so first question. So tips to get better at problem solving. Good question. So I'm actually going to get rid of this. I'll just whatever. I'll just erase these, so it's just a lot faster. One sec. Okay, some tips I recommend for problem solving is so I actually have the recording for this, but I'll just tell you about it. Oh yeah, oops. Okay, so tips for problem solving. One of the main tips I recommend is so for example, do you guys know the stats questions? Do you have like the graphs questions, statistics? So for example, for stats, you have. So this is the same trick that I tell people to use for interviews. So first things first, read the question. This is the first thing. Then, if it's a graph, look at the axes. Then look at the units. Eliminate data. And then pick an answer. So for example, let's say we have 2 tables here, or like many of the tables, like we have these ones here, and then we have table X, Y, and Z. And we have like many values, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's say these are like months. And we just have to find like the values. So the question can be asking me, for example, person Y spends X of their monthly allowance. So it's actually like, let's say they spend 10% of their monthly allowance, and then the remaining, they spend about 25% of that, of the remaining. So how much does that have left? So you'd be like, okay, so they're asking me about person Y. Okay, person Y. And they're asking me about 40 months. So you circle this, and they're just like, yep. So I have to look for this point here. And they use that point and answer the question. So like, you have to be like very, like, you have to ignore most of the data. Just read all the axes. Like, this is how you literally answer them so quickly. For stats, axes, use the axes to help you to find the appropriate data. For this question, for example, the relative ones. So for example, like those are like part charts like this. And then, for example, let's say that I increase this by, I increase it for about 20%, and this one by 10%. You know, the relative ones, you know, this one hasn't changed, this one hasn't changed, this one hasn't changed. So you know that you're gonna have three that are equal. So equal one which is like, you know, slightly bigger. So one which looks no, one which has a larger difference from compared to this. So this one, for example, here would be 10%. I'm not sure, 10%. So the difference from this new one compared to this one is going to be much bigger compared to the difference from the reduced 10%, because 20% increase is going to be a bigger difference compared to the reduced 10%, if that makes sense. So I hope that this makes sense, and it's one of them. Okay, so that is pretty much all about it. For stats, for other complex calculations. So who had the BMAT 2020 here? So who's actually taking a gap here? I want to actually get, can you put it on the chat? Okay, so who took the BMAT 2020? Okay, so do you guys remember the tricycle question? I'm not gonna try to spoil this so much because some of you probably haven't done it, so I don't spoil it. But do you remember the tricycle question? Do you guys remember that question? Do you remember the one that has like the tricycles, like the wheels? Oops. The one about the wheels and like, yeah, that question right there that I'm talking about. So the one that I'm talking about, so what you had to do for that question was actually making simultaneous equations, because everything looked very confusing. And if you try to guess it, you would not get anywhere. So for those questions, you'd have to be like, okay, so you have to make equations because it's a skill, guys. You have to learn how to make simultaneous equations. For example, oops, oh, come on. I do not want to go here. Keynote, there we go. So you'd be like, okay, so A plus 4b plus 3c plus td equals 3. Then you make another equation, for example, 2b plus a plus c plus d equals 1. And then you like there'll be like 4 of these, if I recall correctly, and then like you'd have to solve them and eliminate these as soon as possible. So like you have to approach this question very systematically. Most people try to guess it, from what I've seen. Most people even like they try to they tried to do it with the wrong way. So they, instead of working like, there was like 4 sets of values like this. They were meant to work like this, but they worked like this, which was not very wise. So you have to think before answering. Like think, what do I need in order to actually get these variables? Like how do I extract the variables and make a simultaneous equation? In the BMAT, the simultaneous equation will have 3 to 4 variables, and like in the GC, you'd have x plus y usually. X plus y. In the BMAT, you have like alpha plus beta plus gamma plus omega equals 1, something like that. So you have to be a bit more crafty and have to be a bit faster when solving these equations and even extracting the data. So yeah, these are the 2 tips that I recommend. Mostly, there are more tips, but these are like the main ones that I think. And I want to also go over some questions to actually highlight some of the tips. I think it's better to demonstrate rather than just say something. Okay, so who here is using Medify? So I've actually worked for Medify before. So I had while I can't talk about specifics, like this is what one of the people actually said to join SIGMED instead. I just prefer SIGMED because, okay, so Medify, the people writing the questions are not qualified, unfortunately, guys. Some people have not even taken the admissions tests and they're making your questions. And that is true. I have seen it with my own eyes. I can't disclose anything more because I don't want to get sued for libel, but unfortunately, it is what it is. The people writing the questions are not qualified. Like I've seen it up to U12s writing UCAT questions and BMAT questions. I was like, what are they doing here? But I was not very happy, so I just decided to leave because I don't agree with it, because you guys are paying for it. So like, why would you get questions from someone that's not qualified? Is how I see it. I think it's completely horrendous. I have a lot more tea, guys. So from pretty much, you can literally ask for every company. I have a lot of tier for every company because I have friends that work for them. Like I could probably spill off tea, but probably not when it's being recorded. So you can ask me on WhatsApp and I'll probably spill some tea on a couple of companies if you want. I like Sigma because if you look at my BMAT review, they're the ones that I agree most with. The question, the content is perfect. The people that are doing it are very qualified. So I just prefer them. And no, I'm not being like paid to say this. I just generally prefer them. But personally, I actually tell my students to actually like so I'm actually a tutor as well. So I'm not just with Sexman, I am also a private tutor. And actually, I have literally not recommended a single page resource for my tutors, for my tutees. And they might be thinking, okay, why? And the answer is, I feel like you don't need to pay for stuff most of the time. Like from experience, I'm giving so I get if you ask my students on the BMAT exam, or you can literally say multiple students on like the segment group chats, they'll probably tell you. So one person went from a 3 to a 6 with just past papers in a month. So it was a 3.2 to a 6.0 in section 1. It was like a sudden increase with just past papers for the BMATs. But the thing is, they got the increase not because they were better than everyone else, but because they use those past papers smartly. So you have to use those past papers efficiently. Make sure that you make the most of those past papers, because most people just do them and just be like, yeah, good, I got the score, let's move on. But it's a lot more different. If you want good scores in your BMATs, you have to use your papers wisely. Use the papers wisely because, as I've told you guys before, BMAT past papers, NSAA or NSAA, the ECA, the ANGA, the IMAT, and the TSA, they're all great papers. So like you have basically over 1,000 questions to complete for free, which were written by Cambridge Assessment. So why would you go for them? Why would you not go for them and buy a book instead? Like why? I don't get. This is like I'm a big, pretty much a big hater of the 700 question green book. I'll get it, but I don't want to just leave people here on hold. It's literally on my stack over there. It's very outdated. It was written in 2016, which was about 3 to 5 specifications ago, which is not very ideal. So you're doing outdated questions with outdated techniques because the BMAT has gotten harder in 2019. So why would you use a resource that was written in 2016 is what I think. Like it baffles me. Why is it being recommended? Why is Medifine being recommended? Why is Kaplan being recommended? They're all like really poor quality resources. Some of them are a bit more decent from experience, but I still don't like them that much. But there are a couple of decent resources out there, but there's not such thing as a perfect resource, unfortunately. So I just recommend, free papers. These are free. They're available on the Cambridge Assessment website. Just do them before you even consider buying anything. Because why would you buy something? Why would you buy questions when you have like, you probably wouldn't even do all of them from here. So why would you even pay for something? Is how I see it. Because yeah, okay. Sure, I'll send them at the end. Or like because I'm on actually I'm on laptop, so I can leave on like the iPad. So 1 second. Yeah, but guys, so to sum that up, I have seen year 12s writing questions for companies. So I want you guys, so there's actually something I want you, if you guys don't believe me, you can try this. Go to a couple of companies, make a score up, and they'll hire a tutor. Some of them don't even check it. And this is what annoys me so much. Some tutors are like they're not even doing medicine. They haven't even taken the admission test, but they are being tutors. And some of them even had financial breaches. So like, most of them is just like this. It really angers me. I can't even speak about it for, non-disclosure agreement and other stuff, but that's as much as I can say, which is already pretty bad, but okay. Admissions, okay, so admissions testing for test takers. Okay, so BMAT question. So here it is. So BMAT past papers are here. Let's go. I'm going to give you guys the TSA ones now. TSA past papers from here. Right. All right. So do TSA to section 1. I think section 2 is not as useful. So TSA, Oxford's. section 1, it's the same as TSA Cambridge and TSA UCL. So don't bother doing TSA Cambridge and TSA UCL because you waste your time. The only difference is that TSA Oxford has a section 2, which is another essay, which is not that good for the BMAT, I'd say. So don't do it. So you have those and get past papers. Come on, where is it? Okay, I should find it right here. Where is it? Why are the past papers for the anger? I can't find them. One sec, guys. Okay, for test takers, I'll just give you all the papers okay, so Cambridge assessment. Yes. Yeah, that'll do. For test takers, there we go. Okay, TMUR. Okay, the IMAT as well. Preparing for the IMATs. There we go. More free papers for you guys right here. So if you can do IMATs, basically all the papers. So be careful. Don't do general knowledge because IMAT has general knowledge, completely relevant to the BMAT. Don't do it. And also like the way they mark is different. So make sure you do problem solving and critical thinking. I'd say slightly easier than the BMATs, but don't do biology for the IMAT because it's too advanced. It's A-level. But for chemistry, physics, and maths, some of the questions are perfect. So like, make sure you do them, but have common sense. If you think that's something that's not in GCSE, don't do it. So please be careful. You have to take it. You have to, like, I can't walk you through all the papers, but have some common sense while going over those papers. Is what I recommend. Okay, University of Cambridge admissions tests. Okay, so the ANGA and the NSAA ones are working as well. I'm about to send those, and economics of the ACA. Okay, engineering. Okay, engineering. So for engineering, I recommend section 2 because section 1 is the same as the NSAA. So ANGA section 2, grades for BMAT section 2, as it is harder. How much am I overrunning? Oh, I'm gonna overrun for ages. Oops. But hopefully it's gonna be helpful. I don't care personally, but I'll just be here for as long as you guys need. As I have nothing else to do for today. Well, I do have some more tutor later, but no, that's not now. Anyways, natural sciences. There we go. You have this paper right here. I'll even NSA, we have this. And economics. So for the ECA, do ECA, the new papers. So ECA, do the problem solving parts only. So that's why I recommend. Don't do anything else. I shall do anything else. I am blind. Yeah, that's about it. So that's what I recommend because most of the question banks, like some companies, they are not even from people that are qualified, which is really angers me personally. But that's sessions is meant to finish in a bit over half an hour. There's a Q&A, but I think I will overrun a little bit. So I'll try to speed it up a bit. Which question bank is the most representative? I'll take. I'll be honest with you guys. I have only used books, so I can't. I haven't used all the question banks, so I can't give you an informed. But from what I've seen, BMAT Ninja, mostly because BMAT Ninja questions are mostly like from BMAT itself and for the TSA. There are a couple of questions that they make from their own questions, so you might want to check those out. But question banks online, I'd say BMAT Ninja, but I'd say personally, I'd say all books suck. Like, okay, for next session, I'll have my books next to me so you guys can see what books I've used. But I've used pretty much all of them. If you literally go on Amazon, put BMATs, I have all the books on Amazon for the BMAT and many others. So the Mindic Portal one, 6 meds, Oxford applications, admissions, Blackstone tutors, pretty much all of them you can think of. Kaplan, physics and maths tutors. Yes, they actually have a BMAT course. I've pretty much looked at all of them. Oxford tutors, you name it. So I personally don't feel like most of them are helpful. Some of them were, a couple of areas in there, but I feel like if you do those past papers that I've just seen on the chats, you don't even have to get books. So yeah, okay. What question banks represent basically just use the past papers personally. Use the ECA, the ANGA, the SA, the BMATs, the IMAT, TSA, Oxford. I feel like those are useful. If you want to have the computer feel, I'd say BMAT Ninja for the computer, because you'd be practicing a computer, but personally, this is me, but other people might disagree with me. I'm giving you guys an unbiased review. I personally do everything on paper anyways. So like, I don't see a difference I don't see a huge difference. Like I just print the papers out. I do it on like a sheet next to me, and yeah. NSAA section 1. So the NSAA section 1 parts A to D, and then do the geometry for parts E, and some of the physics questions from part E if they look like GCSE contents. So this is what I recommend. Don't do section 2, it's a bit too advanced. Unless it's the new one for 2020, then there might be, because the section 2 now has changed. So some of the questions might be good, but take them with a pinch of salt. Have a look at it. If you think that's going to be a good question, have a go at it. If you feel like it's going to waste your time because it's A-level, don't do it. Predictions for UCAP percentiles, yes, I do, but I don't have it with me. It's on a spreadsheet because I was just running the numbers on Excel for previous years. I was looking at the difficulty and other stuff. There's some reweight formally. I just like use it. But I do, yeah. But I don't have it with me. Just ask them on WhatsApp, on my subreddits. Just ask. I'll just look at it. I don't have the document with me. Everything that I have is on my hard drive. What do you mean the solutions to these past papers? What do you mean? Do you mean like the mark schemes, the official ones? They should be correct. I'd say BMAT Ninja is better than Medify, and not because I work for BMAT Ninja. I've also worked for Medify, so like unbiased review, I can literally spill all the tea if you want. I'd say BMAT Ninja is just better because they actually have people that are being qualified writing them. For Medify, I spotted some discrepancies. I can't go a bit more into it, non-disclosure agreement, but I just feel like BMAT Ninja is better personally. I told my students if there's anything they want to look for, choose BMAT Ninja, but you don't need to because you have these papers here. But if you want to compete the field, then go for it. BMAT Ninja is owned by 6med, but I say like I'll tell you. Okay, guys, I'll tell you my favorite results from 6med personally. 6med's the BMAT masterclass. When I was in your position, I used the 6med's BMAT online course by Ali Abdal. I personally feel like it's getting a bit outdated because naturally he made it a couple of years ago. I feel like the one that Hadib made is a bit more comprehensive and more up to date. So I really recommend the masterclass. I think it's solid. So if you want to have a go to it, I recommend it. So if you want to spend some money because why would you? But if you want to, I recommend buying the 6med's BMAT masterclass, not the online course, and then you use past papers because you get the techniques from Hadib, and then you use past papers. That's what I recommend personally. There are other pathways that I've seen and that I recommend, but this is the one from 6med I recommend. If you want like me to talk about other companies, then just go for it. In terms of my thoughts on the essay marking of 6med, I'll be honest with you, I have never used their essay marking. I've used Gene Admissions when I was in your position, which I actually pretty enjoyed. But I did not use the 6med, the essay marking, so I can't comment on it because I don't want to be talking and giving it false information on something that I don't know enough about. Okay, so I do tutor individual, yes, but it's quite rare. I do mostly work with schools. That's usually my work. I just go to schools. I just teach them. I just bring my book that I wrote. I just teach like some strategies, and yeah. But yeah, it's a bit random. Okay. Yes, you give them paper for the computer-based BMAT. So you ask for paper, they'll give it to you. They must. I've asked Cambridge assessments. They said you can, and you should have paper to answer. I would recommend having about 10 sheets of paper. It's not more. Ask them for about 10 sheets. If they say no, just bring your own. They're like, yo, bro, there's nothing here. Just bring your own blank sheets if they say no. Don't save on paper. So yeah. Okay. I did badly at the UCATs and BMAT is my only hope. Is there any scope for me to be successful in BMAT? And the answer is yes. I've personally, and one of my students, she's called Amanda. She was the one I was talking about. So she got like a 3 when she did the 2019 paper, and now she's getting sixes, straight sixes and higher. She did one past paper, but I've taught her techniques that she needed to learn, and she got sixes. So literally with just one past paper. So I just told her, if you're getting from 3 to 6 with one paper, one past paper preparation, imagine what you will get once you do more past papers. And she has done more, but this was an example. So like, yes, you can literally improve so much. Like I feel like the BMAT is a lot more preparable. So like guys, if you yes, exactly, like you can do badly in UCAT and score very high in BMATs. And like I feel like personally, well, I just taught her the techniques. So like most people focus on content and knowledge. I focus more on techniques and tips and strategies, which is why she was more successful. So if you want to do well in the BMAT, just use strategies. From my personal experience as a tutor and a student, and even as a test taker, I take the BMAT every year just to see how it is. Yes, it's allowed. I personally feel like it's more efficient. Okay, that is all. Okay, so how would you advise to get faster problem-solving questions, since I can't really get them done in 1 minute, the question? Okay, actually, guys, what if I tell you, my students, I told them, and if they're here, they probably can agree with me. I'm not sure if they're here or if they're watching the recording, but I tell them, do critical thinking in less time and use that. So basically, who here finds critical thinking easier? I'm quite curious. So please put on the chat, not on the Q&A, because it's going to get bloated. Okay, so why don't you spend less time on critical thinking and then use that time for problem solving? So like I do personally, I do critical thinking from 20 seconds all up to a minute. Like for example, parallel reasoning, I take 20 seconds the question, and then I use that time on problem solving and the harder questions. And like I distribute my time evenly, because people think like, yeah, it's 1 minute and 53 seconds per question, but that doesn't mean you have to spend that time on that question. You can do that question and transfer that much time. Like you can transfer that time to the harder questions. So like the questions are not, they're not meant to take the same time. Some questions take longer, some questions don't take as much time. So like allocate your time between each questions to the paper. And that's basically how some of my friends that even use my techniques got 9s. Yes, one person got a 9 in section 1 last year, 32 out of 32. So like they work. Try and test it. This year I'm actually working in school, so like I will get even a bigger sample. If you're resetting the BMAT, I'll even have more stats for you to prove that my method works. And this is the second method also works as well, but I'm just giving 2 approaches because I feel like more approaches gives a bigger skill for more students. Was section 1 of BMAT easier? No, it wasn't. The reason why the boundary was a lot higher is because people are getting a lot more prepared. So do you know how there's a lot more companies? So there's, I'm not going to be advertising companies, but I feel like there's about 10 of them now that offer BMAT support, if not more. And people are getting tutored. People are like international students. Like internationally, you wouldn't need 7s now. You need it if you want to get into Oxford and Cambridge, pretty much. Anything below, you can still get in, but it's very risky. So if you want to pretty much be guaranteed to get into Oxbridge, as a home student, you get 6s. If you want to be pretty much guaranteed to get interviewed at Oxbridge as international, you get 7s. It's pretty much how it works now. So people are getting more tutors. People from Singapore usually do better as well because they have the O levels and then the A levels, so they're a bit harder. So they have like H1, H2, H3. If I remember correctly, that's how the A levels work in Singapore. They're a bit harder. So they do better in the BMAT anyways, naturally, because they do O levels, which is, they're a bit harder than the GCSEs. So yeah, their educational system is a bit better, and they do the BMAT on paper as well. So all that contributes to higher boundaries in the BMAT. So the BMAT this year will be, I would say it's going to be significantly harder, just because the boundaries were just so high this year. And they don't, I feel like, let's think about this from an examiner's point of view. You don't want people, you want your test to be reliable. You don't want to be a test like a matter of chance. So like the top people shouldn't be about how good they are at, like, not just making errors, but how good they are at being quick, how good they are at thinking hard, like hard questions, how do you approach them quickly? Like you want to balance time management and techniques with, because I feel like 90% and 95% usually where a 9 has been in the past. This year was 100%. So I would say it makes sense that they would want to push that down to a 30 or 31 at least. So I'd say a 9 would be 31 this year or 30, but definitely that means that session will be a lot harder. I may be wrong again. This is my prediction. I've run the numbers. I've looked at previous data in the past. I've used some formulae that I used last year. I predicted the exact same scores, like the exact same percentages that I said were going to be in the BMATs. Those were the boundaries. And I did it like a whole entire year before the BMAT actually happened. I did them in 2020. So yeah, guys. And then guess what? Those were the boundaries. So I'm using that same formula again for this year, and I'm pretty sure that it will be the same. It will be very accurate. So I'd say 31 to 30 depends on. It also depends on how candidates are this year. But I'd say 30 to 31 is how it'll be. Maybe 31. I think like 30 might be a bit too low, but I'd say 31 is a very respectable score for it to be a 9, not 32 for this year. But that means they'll have to make the test a lot harder. A good score, as I said, depends what unis. If you look, for example, if you're applying for Brighton, you will need 3.4, 3.4, 3A. This was last year's for you to get shortlisted as a home student. As international, it was 4, 4, 3A, pretty much. Obviously went higher, but for Brighton, it's quite low. For Oxbridge, as a home student, it's 6s. For international, 7s. For Imperial and UCL, it's about 5.8 across the board. Maybe even 6s if you want to be a bit safer. As international, for 6s, high 6s. So slightly lower than Oxbridge, but higher than Leeds and Lancaster and all those unis. Okay, what else? Okay, so someone asked me if I recommend doing the 2020 paper. I said yes, but yes, I am answering questions from the Q&A section. Okay, so what's time? I just have to. There's a lot of questions. I have 23 minutes. I'll probably do a couple of questions, as I feel like me answering. Do you guys want me to answer questions, or do you want me to just walk over some papers? I feel like answering questions would be a lot better because then you guys can just watch this, and then you learn from because you guys are competing against each other. So like, if someone struggling with something, you might not know. So there's 3 things that I said. There are 3 types of knowledge: what you know that you know, what you know that you don't know, and what you don't know that you don't know. So in this case, there might be some questions in this category, which is in the 3rd category, and maybe you learn something new, which is why I feel like questions might be more useful. But it's up to you guys. Okay, so I recommend a specific order for the past papers, but I'll just finish this presentation real quick so I can have more time. So 600 resources, use them if you guys need. So how can 6med help you? So YouTube channel, and you can also check out my subreddits. BMAT exam, we have WhatsApp, we have Discords, and so does 6med. 6med surgeries come to these. 6med social media, you can go to the WhatsApp group, the Discord server. I'm also there. The main pages, you can also call the 6med number, which should be on the website. If you want to pay for stuff, I don't see why you would, but some people might, because some people they want the highest scores possible. So even that slight edge makes a difference. Like 1 mark can be the difference between getting interviewed and not. So I can see why some people pay for us, because it's getting a lot harder to get into medical school. So BMAT books, I personally don't recommend them because most of them are trash, unfortunately. That's just how it is. Most of them are outdated. If you look at the Future Doctors Academy book, it was actually written by a year 12. So I was like, bro, how does a year 12 have experience with the BMATs? And how can they actually make questions is what I think, personally. Yeah, BMAT Ninja, it's pretty decent. If you want the computer feel, use the BMAT Ninja, it's probably the best one. BMAT Masterclasses as well. Child labor. Oh dear. Oh dear. Yeah, 6med Masterclass as well. They are pretty good. I would say it's my favorite BMAT resource, out there, that's available on the market. That's actually not like a cheater. Like I'm talking about companies in itself. This is probably my favorite. Is the BMAT Masterclass. So I would recommend checking it out. To get the BMAT bundle, even better for you, I guess. You have the workbook, you have more stuff, but I would say the minimum is probably going to be the BMAT Masterclass if you want to pay for something. Because, well, they also offer bursaries as well. So go for it, buddies. They have bursaries as well if you from low income backgrounds. Just fill the form and you should be able to access it. So it's not just about money. Yeah. So more intensive So you can go for courses, tuition, so you can get a mentor, a tutor, what you want to call it, an instructor from any company. You can even go private. So I know some really good tutors that they don't work, but they're freelancers, but they're really good as well. But it depends. But I'd say it's probably a bit safer with companies because they're usually, well, unless you're some of the companies I was talking about, which I can't mention names, but if you're one of the companies that actually checks where their students come from, then this is good. But otherwise, don't do it from a dodgy company because otherwise you will, yeah. Because some of them Martin, be quiet, be quiet. BMAT bundles as well. So get the six meds BMAT bundle as well if you like that, because I think it's quite helpful. I looked at the book; it was updated this year. It's really solid. I made some criticisms on my subreddits, then it was updated. So recommend it. They're also making some changes to BMAT Ninja, so I recommend it. Everything's being constantly updated, so it has the multi silver approval. I rated them 8.5 out of 10 in my subreddits before I even worked for them. So no, it's not unbiased. It's not. Yeah. No, it's not biased. It is unbiased. Yeah, from bias reviews of companies, I'll have 6 Medic Minds. I'll do them for Oxford applications and other companies soon. I have a team, so some of them are from Leeds and from Oxbridge and other uni. So everything's unbiased. It's not just, we don't care about, we care about providing students with the best value and, the best support. We would like to reward companies that generally help students. So yeah, I'll be reviewing more reviews soon, but if you want to look at Medic Mind and Six Meds, those are the ones available not right now. If you want to actually let me know about other companies, then message me on WhatsApp. I'll probably have some juice for you as well. But yeah, example questions will come up soon, later, if we have time, but Q&A. So someone asked, how should we attempt the 2020 paper? So this is what I recommend for your preparation. Do BMAT 2019, so BMAT. Do 2019 first, then do 2003 to 2018, and then finally 2020. Because you're doing this, and then you know roughly how the papers are. So you master this paper first, and then you will be able to make the most out of the older papers as well, because you're not just spending time learning techniques. Because obviously, if you start from the easiest, then you're gonna see a good increase. But that is not how you should see it. Master and make the most, extract all the data you can from 2019 paper, strategies, techniques, pitfalls, any weaknesses, and then use those, work on those, and then start doing the other papers. And then once you work on all of your weaknesses in 2020, this is what I recommend. And then once you're done with these, do NSA. So the natural sciences is a bit harder than the section 2. TSA for critical thinking is harder than the section 1 for BMAT. The ANGA section 2 for physics and maths is harder than the BMAT because obviously it's engineering, so it's going to be harder physics and maths. It's just logical, I'd say. But yeah, how should we use the BMAT papers? Here it is. Yeah, no, you should not work backwards. Do BMAT 2003 and then do BMAT. So do BMAT 2019 first, then do BMAT 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, up to 2018. Once you finish with those, do 2020. That's what I recommend. You also want to do this assessment, I guess, but I plan to work through it in future session because I'm gonna have more time because physics, maths, and chemistry and biology hopefully will be less time consuming, so I should be able to work from some papers. So yeah. Section 1 was not easier than usual. No. Yes, all questions for section 1 are multiple choice questions. The 3 response ones are old papers. So I would say do them, but they're not anymore. All of them are multiple choice nowadays. The older papers are free. They're like, they're like 3 answers, 3 responses, but that's not how it is nowadays. Would you advise to get faster problem solving? How would you advise to get faster problem solving questions? Yeah, I've already said this. So basically the strategies. Also, make sure that you focus on strategies, not contents. Because if you learn, for example, how to make pin questions, they're not going to make a pin question ever again, probably. They might, but usually like problem solving is more about seeing something unseen and working through it. So focus on your ability to solve problems. Work on systematic approaches. So for example, if I get a question that requires algebra, I'll do this, 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 and this. If I get stats, I'll do this, 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 and this, and the trust you guys. it's a lot faster. You'll do those questions a lot, and then split them into chunks. As I said, walk through them like a puzzle. Work on each small piece first, and then once you get small pieces and you get more information, then you'll be able to solve you'll be able to see the bigger picture. Questions taken off the BMAT spec, just do them. Might as well. It doesn't hurt, unless it's something like levers, because then it's useless. But like, you might want to do them. It doesn't hurt, but it's all about exam technique. But I personally say maybe don't if you're like short on time. But if you have loads of time, it doesn't hurt. Plus, you get more knowledge for A levels as well, so it's adding the nice to the grades. Okay, I'll link the BMAT masterclass. One sec, I'll just send you the link for it. So if you want to get the BMAT masterclass from the lads, handy. 6 minutes BMAT masterclass. Okay, so this is the one that I'm referring to right here. Just check the chats. Okay, so when do we know if our methods or strategies are actually working? Great question. Ooh, I love this. So the answer is you do and you don't. You don't know in a way until you do the newer papers, because you're going to see. So actually, you know what I like to do? When I'm doing all the papers, I tell my students withdraw 5 marks in every section. Because, for example, if you got 27 out of 27 in 2003, make that 22 and then use that score instead. From experience, that's usually a better predictor. Or what you want to do as well is like do all the papers in 45 minutes. If you want to build more of a challenge, for 45 minutes, or if you want to be hardcore, do them like 1 question per minute. So do them like 45 minutes if you're that guy. You might want to do those. Doesn't hurt. But like, for example, maybe you want to do another paper. For example, if you do TSA, so for example, let's say you learn your strategies, okay? Okay, let's say, for example, my students that I was talking about. So she learns all the strategies, and we went through all of them for every single type of question that could possibly come up. Then she did after doing BMAT 2019, she got 3.3, I believe. Yeah, 3.3. And then what was it, 3.4? I don't remember the exact decimals. Like I remember like the lowest on the 3. And then after we went over the techniques, like the score jumped, and we did TSA as well to check that if it was really real progress or if it was just an immediate paper. And she was getting pretty much all the questions right for critical thinking as well. The ones for problem solving also have to be worked on, but yeah, like if you can see that you're getting like you make a method and then you get that type of question correct consistently, then it is working. Going through some questions, I might, if I have some time, I'm just trying to speed run through these. Yeah, school computer is fine. I mean, as long as it's like it's not going to crash during your test. If you think that your school's laptop is really slow, then or desktop, if it's slow, then maybe argue against it. But if you think that's a good, it's a decent, if you think it's not going to crash during a test, then go for it. But maybe you want to bring your own laptop. I recommend it. You're just safe. How many special reasons are there? Usually 1, but sometimes there are 2. It depends, because usually there's 1, but I've seen them, for example, in February 2021, there were 2 of them that I've seen. So like, so it's between 1 and 2, but 1 is more common. But if they want to make it a bit harder, they might put 2 this year. Who knows? We don't really know what they're going to put this year. Okay, so how do we improve our timing on problems? Okay, I'm just going to look for the ones that are actually a bit quicker. Do you recommend the IC book? No, I don't recommend that. It's very outdated. I said that the green book is really bad. Don't get it. It has been written in 2016. So like the BMAT got hard in 2019, so you don't want to do a book that it was written before the test got hard. Best BMAT resource, there isn't one, unfortunately. All of them have strengths and weaknesses. If you talk about mocks, some companies they do better. If you talk about question banks, then 6-minute BMAT Ninja is usually the smoothest one and the most realistic, I would say. It depends, like best tutors. I have had the best experience with uni admissions. It depends on what you go for. Okay. How do you grasp techniques? You just have to Okay. One sec. The WhatsApp group is on subreddit. I don't have it here with me at the moment, unfortunately. Yeah, not reading properly. Is 2,860 pounds in score for Southampton? Yes, great. Pretty much for any uni. Yes, you can spend long on problem-solving questions, and this is what I recommend actually. This is what I recommend, Sarah. Okay, so could you list the exams you mentioned here, please? So yeah, I've already mentioned them in the chat a little bit above, but I'll just type in here. So TSA, NSCA, ENGA, ECA, AMAT, BMAT. Have I missed something? I think I haven't missed anything. So TSA, ENGA, the ECA, TSA, the BMATs. Yeah, I think those are the ones. I think I haven't missed any of them. I might have. Oh, and the ECA as well. Oh, see it. That's the one here. Here we go. CubeNet question. Okay. Okay, wait. One sec. It's not too late to start my revision. It's actually, it's as I said to my students, you know, the best time was like yesterday. The second best time is now. So like, go for it. You have 6 weeks. You have pretty much 6 weeks. We're not doing A-level maths disadvantage. No, because A-level maths is very different from GCSE maths. Like the only thing I think is similar to certs. Anything else is completely irrelevant. It's like not doing A-level maths doesn't matter at all. Literally doesn't. So just learn certs because certs is in A-level maths. So there's probably only advantage that you get if certs practice. I think maybe don't use Medify and BMAT because it's a bit of a waste of money. Yeah, I would. I think it had better ways to practice for it. When you start doing full practice papers, start doing that, bro. Learn the techniques and do them afterwards. So make sure you do the techniques because you'll make the most out of. So look at techniques, read the assumed knowledge guides, then you start doing papers. As I said, 2009, 2003, 2018, and then 2020. The IMAT logical reasoning is easier than the BMATs. Past paper, I'd say before 2013 or before 2014 are the older ones. 2014 to 2018 are okay, but a bit old still, but not as old as before. 2013 and before are very easy. 2014 to 2018 are okay-ish. 2019 is getting a bit harder. 2020 is the beast. Is BMAT section 1 of past papers more difficult than the most recent ones? So yeah, so 2020 is hard. 2020 is harder than 2019. Yeah, it's pretty much, yeah. As you go like to the most recent papers, they get harder. Okay, someone asked, how should you learn the techniques? So basically, you go for courses, get a tutor, look at YouTube videos online. They are free. Like literally, there are so many ways to look at it. There are free BMAT guides. There's the master classes, 6-minute surgeries. Like because I'll go over some of the techniques for critical thinking, but yeah, it's mostly like you can go on YouTube, you can go for a company, you can go for books, but I don't recommend them. You can go for a tutor, a mentor, whatever. There are many ways to actually get good at it, or even just forums. That should be my exam. Go for it. Yes, apply for medicine if you need to have 2,600s. Maybe apply to the BMAT just for the lulls and see how it goes. Pick one BMAT uni or two if you feel like you can get a good score. Would some revision now be enough time? Yes, it's enough time, guys. If you prepare now, it's enough. Yeah, for the BMAT as a class, you can get tutor, you can get, like there are many ways to actually prepare. Like if you want like a full comprehensive list, you can literally ask from WhatsApp. I'll just send you a full list. BMAT Ninja. I'd say BMAT Ninja is good for like the experience. This is the questions. I'd say that, it's good. It's good. It's definitely good. But in my opinion, there are already a lot of questions available on chemistry assessment for free. So it depends. Like I'll say the guides, it's all right. The guide is okay, but I feel like I personally, me Martin, if I was in your position, I would use if I could go over this whole process again, I would use the BMAT online masterclass and maybe the online course from Alibaba. I thought it was still good, very good. But if you want to just go for just one of them, then use the online masterclass. That's probably the best one because it's the most up to date, and yeah, it's better. How many hours we spend? As many as you want, just on burnout. Like some people spend 1 hour, some people spend 4. It depends. Like it's not about how much time you put into it. It's like how you actually prepare for your exam. Subreddit is r dash your exam. That's the one, and just send. There we go. Data analysis. It was like an old type of question. So basically, there was like an extract, and basically, there was like a lot, like 4 or 5 questions to do. Like it reminded me of UCATs for quantitative reasoning, but those have been removed. So those are like the long answer questions. So if they had multiple choice, so for part 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this question, so this, they will say something like this graph is talking about questions 8 to 12 or something around those lines, and that's the data analysis question. Skip them usually, but sometimes I think it's good still. They're all right, but not as valuable as the other types of questions that we get. No, it was not easier. I don't think you can bring a whiteboard. It's depending on your school. If your school says yes, then you can, but I feel like paper is better because you don't have to erase stuff during it. It can be very messy. Yes, I do tutor for the BMAT, but I'm mostly with schools. If you want tutors, then you can just go for BMAT Ninja. You can message me. I'll just see if I've free a lot. But I've been very busy because I'm working like I think around 4 schools. So like I have a lot on my plate right now. I do personal image checks, but I think at the moment I can't because I'm literally I have about 10 personal statements to check. And I sit it with people, like I sit 1-to-1 and we just sit and we work through it until we reach a final draft. So like I'm very busy at the moment, unfortunately. Like as soon as we finish this, I'm going to another session with one of my tutees for personal statements. So like I do, but I'm not sure if I have time at the moment. I have to check on the timings. Okay. Yes, there is no 6-minute group chat, but I'll just send you the link in a sec. Okay. If you message me on WhatsApp, so if you want to be added to the 6-minute group chat or even my own group chat for the Reddits, then you can go so +44740442615. It's on this chat, and then you can message me. I'll add to the group chats. I'll send the link to both chats if you want. You can subreddit. Just ask what you need, and I'll answer it. I'll send you the link to the group chat for 6 minutes. I have a BMAT YouTube channel, not just BMAT, it's for a lot of stuff. If you have a 3,180, you might want to apply to 2 or even 1. Like depends. Like if you want to go to like if you think that you can get a good BMAT score, then apply to 2 or 3. Like because I have a friend that he had 3,300 in the UCAT, and what else? So and then he applied for 3 BMAT unis because he just preferred the BMAT unis instead. Like he did well in the UCAT, but like he just preferred one of the places. Like he just preferred BMAT uni. So like even if you want to apply strategically, apply for 3 UCATs. If you want to apply for hard from your hard, like if you prefer Oxbridge and the London unis, then do BMAT. But it depends on you. Like I can't give you an answer because it depends on what you like. 2,300 band 2 in SHE, you can apply, but only to Cardiff because Cardiff does not look at the UCATs at all. They do not care about your UCATs. So if you want to get to Cardiff, you'll need good GCSEs. So think of Oxford's GCSEs. I know one of the people that works for Cardiff Medical School admissions because he's the son of the chair of the medical school went to my school. So essentially, I can just ask him questions. But apparently, they only use the UCAT 3 times in about 4 or 5 years. I think it was 4 years, going 5 now. So for the very last place. So if you have good GCSEs and good interview skills, apply to Cardiff. You can have literally 1,800 band 4 and well, maybe not band 4 because it's a bit dodgy, but you could like a pretty low UCAT score. Cardiff does not care at all. They care about interviews and GCSEs and personal statements. Yeah, so look at conversion. So 8. So if Omar, are you from? I'm not sure why application has been cancelled. I'll get back to the team and just get back to you. Message me on WhatsApp if you want some news on that. Okay, so you can look at conversion tables for to get to know what your score is. They're all like on the Cambridge Assessment websites. So BMAT past papers, look at the answer key, scroll to the bottom, and you'll find the conversion key on the second page. Beth. So good GCSE for Cardiff. If you're a Welsh student, 3 A stars and 6 A's is good for Wales because Welsh applicants are treated differently from English applicants. So if you're from Wales, apply to Cardiff because it's a very safe choice, especially if you're in the step-up program for medicine because you're guaranteed an interview for medicine at Cardiff. And if you're from England, then you need 9 A stars or 9 8 9 9s. 8 and 9 are kind of the same thing. So like you'll need 9 if you want to get a pretty good chance. Katerina, I don't have the link with me at the moment, but if you want the link, just message me on WhatsApp here. And I'll just send you the link for the 6-minute group chat. I don't have it with me at the moment. UCAT score is good enough for Bristol. Is it international? Maybe, I'll say so, yes. It's a bit on the lower side this year because of the percentiles, but I say still okay. Apply for Bristol. If you have 2,850, go for it. It's a pretty good score. Kings with 2,730, I think it's a bit risky. For Southampton, I think it's fine, Sarah, but for Kings, it might be a bit on the lower sides, and I'm not too sure about because there's more people applying this year, so it might not be enough. And I'd rather just say give you on the safer side. You can apply for it, you might get in, but it's a bit risky. It's definitely possible. I'd say 2,800 is the safe score for Kings. Anything below is still possible. Don't get me wrong, it's possible, but it's more like if you get 2,100, you can just like relax. You're like, yeah, I'm pretty sure I'll get interviewed. Whereas 2,700, it's like you're not sure because it depends on the cohort. So if you want to apply, 2,817 low BMAT unis, BSMS, so Brighton Sussex Medical School, so BSMS, maybe even Leeds, and I think Lancaster. And if you're international, Kiel internationals, they use a BMAT as well. So yeah, I recommend those as well. Answer live, there we go, sorted. Anglia Ruskin, it's doable, and Kiel with 2,540, it's doable for sure. Sheffield with 2,740, band 1, go for it. Yeah, Nottingham is great as well. Our 7-8 is good for Cardiff. What? So 7-8, you have 7-7, 2-7 as well, because you only look at the top 9 GCSEs. So okay, let me just look at the top questions in the meantime. Do you recommend a particular studying schedule? Also, if you're applying as a graduate, oh, great, okay, great. I know graduates. So do you recommend a particular studying schedule? Yes, I do. So like I'd say 2 hours per day from now, 2 to 3 hours, because you want to like I'll tell you guys what I've been doing with my students. So I've been preparing with them since July. So the 1st of July is when we started preparing for the BMATs. We did 4 hours per week plus 4 hours of assignments, so 8 hours. So we've been doing 8 hours per week since July. So this is probably like the top end of the candidates, but if you want to know what the best candidates are doing, they've been doing since July, even August. So I'd say maybe 4 hours, like I'd say about 10 hours, 20 hours per week is a good time to actually look into it. Strategies, as I've said, courses, books, tutors, classroom courses, online courses, master classes, surgeries, etc. Effectively, just like so. Make sure someone asked me how to use papers effectively. So do them in this order, and then when you're doing papers, and once you look at what you got wrong, and like for example, let's say you got kidneys wrong, look at kidneys before doing the next paper. If you got, for example, conclusions question wrong, make sure you practice conclusion questions before doing another path paper. That is the most effective way to get a good score. Improving. So if you're too slow in problem solving, get faster at critical thinking. That's why I usually recommend. But also write everything down. Learn to read faster. Learn to like spot. Learn to extract data fast. Like look at the numbers. Scan for numbers. It's usually the best one to go for. Scan for numbers and break the question into small chunks. That's how we all like look at it as a puzzle. As I said, as a puzzle, you don't just like put all the puzzle pieces together once you're doing a puzzle. You look at every single one of them. You think how each one might, like how each one might actually associate with another one, and I think it's just the best way to go about it. So yeah, graph techniques already been answered. You prepare for hard section one by I would say maybe the current papers in like 45 minutes. So for example, BMAT 2020, try to do that paper in like 45 minutes. That's probably because you have that time pressure. So that's the best way to replicate it. So maybe you want to do, let's say, for BMAT 2013 and before that, you want to do questions in 1 minute, one question per minute. BMAT 2014 to 2018, you want to do this in 1 minute and 5 seconds per question. And then you want to do BMAT 2019 and 2020 in 45 minutes. That's what I recommend for preparing for a hard section. It's very hard, but it's just, you know, boundary for leads. It's usually 4.4s. So Mohammed, leads is usually about 4s for that. 4, 4, 3A is usually the rough boundaries. I have a friend that goes to Leeds. She's on my group chat for the subreddits. She's one of the moderators. She's called Lily. If you join the WhatsApp group for the subreddits, you can just say, Lily, she's one of the admins. You can say, Lily, what score do you have for BMATs? And she'll just like, and what score was the cutoff? She'll tell you. I'm pretty sure that she's quite involved in that area as well. And we have another guy from Leeds as well. Okay. How many months you plan for the BMAT? I mean, it depends. Like some people do 6 weeks, some people do 4 weeks, some people do 2 weeks, some people do a week. I've been doing it since July with some students because I feel like it gives you time to like not burn out, because I taught like, so I wrote a book which was about 300 pages of techniques for the BMAT. So I literally went through every single one of them. There was literally no content, just techniques. And I wanted to make sure that I taught those in like digestible chunks. So I started in July with that school in Surrey. I'm based in Cardiff, but it's in Surrey. And yeah, I'd say it depends on like how strong and weak you are, and also how many hours you do. How to deal with anxiety. So think about this. You can't like, if you think about this, I know this is a bit of a country, but first things first, prepare mentally. So think, I will give my best. You know that prepare because like if you're prepared before your test, and you'll be like, okay, I've done my best. I know I've prepared the best. What I do today is my best. I can't do anything else. So it is what it is. That's the thing. Acceptance. Second thing, have a good diet, exercise, because a healthy body translates to a healthy mind. If you have a healthy mind, then you'll essentially like you'll be able to think clearer in your BMATs. So I recommend that as well for the BMAT prep. And yeah, make sure that you believe in yourself, and make sure that you do the preparation so you do those questions. But yeah, so to sum that up, have so exercise, because exercise is great for mental health. It's probably like the best thing for stress relief. So exercise, run, go to the gym, get those gains. Have a great diet. So I can recommend salmon, fruits, vegetables. Don't have chip and chips, like oily foods, because you're gonna get fatigued, and it's gonna be affecting your brain. Like you want a good keto diet for exams, is what I recommend personally. It worked for me. Or if you're a legend, before my UCATs, so have a meal before 2 hours before your exam. So I'll tell you what I did before my UCAT. I woke up, I arrived 2 hours before. It was like in town, it was in Cardiff City Centre. And I went to Tesco. I bought fruits, I bought blueberries, I bought a meal deal. So I had the naked smoothies. Oh, the blue machine is so good. I had someone fried chicken, and I had like some sandwiches, and like I ate it and allowed myself to then digest the food, because if you eat just before your exam, your body might be, your stomach will be needing energy to digest the food, whereas that energy could have been going to your brain. So like, make sure you eat a couple, 1 or 2 hours before your exam. So, you know, you have as much energy in your body, exercise the night before, you have that good diet, you have a good, like, make sure you get enough sleep. Those are the best ones for anxiety and, you know, a good exam performance. It's just as important as preparing academically. A good BMAT score, it depends on the unit. I said something possibly as soon as you know the techniques. Data analysis mean yes, problem solving has questions with a lot of data and tables as well, not just data analysis. Yes, I'm available for tutoring, but I'm very busy. Can we go through strategies for answering questions? I'll do that soon. I'm just trying to answer many questions right now. Okay. Oof. Okay. Okay. What I'm going to do now is I want to actually do some questions now because some people have been requesting for that, so I want to do some right now. So let me just. I'm going to do some questions right now. I'll look at ones that I really enjoyed when I was doing this paper as well. So I'll go to the last question. Okay, so let's do a question for the view, shall we? Can all of you please give this question a go before I start doing it? Can you guys please do a question for the view? You have a minute. Okay, guys, so I'll go over this question now, as it was a minute has passed. So a 100, oops, okay, so 150 meter length for strings. So these are the measurements around the book. These are the dimensions of the book. So this book, so the book, 30 times 20 times 2. Okay, shown in the diagram. After knotting and tying, there's 24 centimeters. Let the string go. Okay, so a second piece of string, also 150 centimeters long, is used to tie up a parcel of several copies of the book, stacked back, cover to front cover. A bow similar to that on the first parcel is tied, and then no string left is over. How many copies of the book are there in the second parcel? So let's see. Okay, so when we do this, they're going to be okay. They're going to be 30 centimeters above, 30 centimeters below, and you're going to have 20 centimeters above, 20 centimeters below. So it's going to be 60 plus 40. It's going to be 100. Okay. Okay, there's actually a much quicker method to do this, which is okay. So we have 24 centimeters of string, and we're going to need there's going to be 2 centimeters, 4 centimeters, 8 centimeters, and so 2, 4, 6, and 8, right? For like each side. So that means there's like this side here, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, and 2 centimeters. So we have 8 centimeters per book added. Not double D, not triple D for sure. So we do 24 over 8, which equals to 3 added new copies, but there's already 1 here. So it's actually 3 plus 1, which is 4, which is B. Did you guys get that right? Okay, this is one of the questions. Sure, someone asked me for it to explain it one more time. I'll just go over again. Okay, so Let's look at what's actually relevant in this question, because a lot of it is distractors. So there's this book here, and there was 24 centimeters of string left. Yes, 24 divided by 8 equals 8, 16, 24. No, it's not A, because no, it's, you're saying, I think, let's think about this for a second. Okay, so we have one book here. So it was tied around a book, right? Look, a book, one book. So there's a book here, one book. And these are the dimensions of the book. And then once they're adding it, they're stacking them together. So they're going to be another book here, like this, like this, like this, like this, and then like this. So etc. And then this dimension is going to be basically added 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters here, 2 centimeters here, and then 2 centimeters here, because the top and the bottom are going to be the same. It's not going to change. So it's 2 times 4, which is going to be equals to 8 centimeters per book added, per book. And there was 24 centimeters left of string in the first scenario with one book. So one book equals 24 centimeters left. And then with another X books equals 0 centimeters left. So we have to find basically how many books we need to use 24 centimeters. So we have 24 centimeters that must be used in order for it to not have any tie or string left. So 24 over 8 is equals to 3. But there's a book here already with this scenario. Oops. There's a book here with this scenario. Come on. So we do 3 plus 1, which goes to 4. Therefore, the answer is B. Doesn't make sense, guys. So the questions here are very like, can I see how these questions make you feel like there is a like with this kind of questions, you think you're done with the question, but you're not. I got 3 from 24 over 8. So do you remember when I said, look at the dimensions, right? When you stack it, so let's say I have this one here, right? When I stack another one together on top of it, what's going to increase is this part, right? Because this part and this part and these parts you're tying will be the same, right? The only thing that's going to differ is going to be the like the 2 centimeters. So once the increase is going to be increased by 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, 2 centimeters, and 2 centimeters. It's going to be 8, right? Make sense so far? So then you do 8, but there's 24 centimeters of string left. So you know that for every phone that I'm stacking on top of this phone, I'm going to use 8 more centimeters of string. So I do 8, 8, and 8, so 24. But there's also a phone here on the start. So 24 centimeters left of string, 16 centimeters, 8 centimeters, and then another one, which is 0 centimeters. So it's 4. So I hope this visual, is it? Wait, is my screen frozen, guys? Oh, someone said, some people say it's yes, some people say it's no. Let me just, okay. What about now? My screen, yeah, my screen is frozen. As in, like, I'm talking like this. I'm talking to the camera. I'm not talking to. I'm not actually making notes. I'm just showing you with a bit of a visual demonstration. Yeah. So they use 100. Yes, another 150 meter string. Yes, that is correct. But they're talking about like. I think you like overthought the question. They're just saying that they're doing this again, like the same scenario. So they get another 150 meters of string, and now they do 4 of these books. Doesn't make sense. Like yes, they're not using 150 centimeters more on top of this one. They're using 150 meters, 150 centimeters for like another stack. If that makes sense. So it's very be careful to not misread the questions. But can you see here how what I was talking about? Like I looked at I didn't read the entire question. I just looked at the value. So in problem solving, you just the number. So ignore everything. So 150 meters, yeah, 30, and this, and then you just say 24 centimeters was left over. Okay. So they're saying that second, and now this is the relevant part. This is more of a like, context. And now it's saying, okay, so it's easy to tie up a parcel of several copies. So several copies. So you just use, okay, when you add a new copy, you're gonna add 8 more centimeters. So just do what's remaining here, which is 24 over 8, which is 3. But there wasn't any one here already because it's a book. So it's 3 plus 1, which is just 4. So it's just going to be B. So yeah, if you overthought the question, you probably get 8 if you mess with the question. So it's like, be very careful. And this is what I mean. Like you just have to like think before you do the question. Like you're like, okay, what am I going to need? So if I had something, it's going to say if I had the book, it was going to increase by this much. So I'll have to do this and do that. And then I know the methods. I thought about the methods. Now I'll just execute it straight away. So this is this is the best approach for problem solving, in my opinion. But let's look at other questions that I think are pretty decent that I thought were pretty good. Which one should I go for? Actually, let's go for this one. Yes. Can you guys do question 20 and give me the answers on the chat? Okay. I have a couple of answers. I'll just go over it. So option A, if you fold this behind this, you're only going to get this from like behind here. Doesn't mean there's going to be the front, right? So let's think about this. If I fold this half here and I fold it backwards behind this bit here, then you're actually going to get a this is going to be what you're going to see. You're going to see this. So A is not correct because it's a possible view. Any questions on A, guys? So because some of you put A, but you're essentially putting this part here. So it's you're going to be still going to be here, but it's going to be covered by the front of this one because it doesn't have a hole in it. That's why it's not A. Hope that makes sense. For B, let's think about this now. For B, we have the which one was B again? Oh yeah. Okay, so I'll go back to B later because I've seen this question, but I'll just show you the rationale for that one. So for C, I was looking at it. So for C, can you guys see that if you rotate your screen, let's say you take this off here, rotate. So I'm going to rotate my screen now like this, and can you see that it looks exactly like C now? For some of you that put C, like if you rotate it, it's going to look exactly like option C, and you can rotate your paper. We can rotate your heads. Like this one, like this bit will be folded back, so it's not going to be C as well either. But I wanted to raise a comment here. Can you guys see a way? Why do you think that they put this, guys? They should ring some bells. You should go straight to these two, because if these three are here, and they somehow put, if they put the same question that mirrored, chances are it's only one of them because these two are mirrored images of each other. Like if you put this in the mirror, like these are kind of they're basically mirrors image of each other. So chances are it's going to be either D or E that's going to be incorrect in most of it. But I'm just going to, so yeah, if you fold this like this, like if you ignore the spots and you fold it like inside here, you're going to get B as well, like this. Okay, you can see that this part will look like this. Like this part is this part. So B is also not the right answer. So it's going to be either E or D. So you know, it's not this, not this, not this, not this. Now, can you guys see here? Look at this. So it's oops, no, not this. So it's not this. So its answer is D. That's not possible. Doesn't make sense, guys. Like you can literally just eyeball this. Okay, B is not correct because it's a possible B. It's saying it's a possible B. Okay, so look at this. So can you see this here? This part here, this section. So can you see that like if you turn the paper around 180 degrees, you're gonna get B. Right? Does it make sense? Like, yeah, it would, because even if so, let's say even if this is covering this, like here below it, you can still see this detail. You can still see it. It's like you can still see it's still possible. It's still possible detail. I don't know. I get what you mean, but you can get that shape, but you can't get it's the whole position that matters. Okay, let me just show you something. Who here does A-level? Okay, so Kenny, can you do you take A-level chemistry? So do you know about stereoisomers? So it mirrors images of each other. So this is exactly what it is. Look, if you look at this, these are literally mirrors. Like these are mirroring images. So you can't possibly get both of them, right? Because you can't rotate them because they're mirrors. Like mirrors are different images. Like if I mirror this phone here, you'd see us flipped. So you can't possibly flip these to get one because the whole position is different. The whole position would be here instead for this one. This here is this here. So this is why it's mirrored. It's mirrored. That means that it's only one of them that's possible. So one way to eyeball the question really nicely. Doesn't make sense. So that's when you know it can be one of them. I'm not sure. I haven't I've looked at it roughly, but well, which diagonal? Like this? Like this diagonal you're talking about? Hmm. Okay, let me just see it. Very interesting option actually. Hmm. Okay, that is actually a pretty good point. Give me 1 second because I'll just try to explain this one because okay, 1 sec, guys. I get what you mean, but there's actually a reason as to why it's this one here, as is actually a literal specimen paper. But that is a very good point. But there are mirror images of each other, so only one of them can be correct in this case. So this is question 20, and that's something you have to think about. 1 sec. I'll get back to you on this. Wait a second, because oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. Okay, guys, you're gonna forgive me because I actually just confused because there was a past paper question which was very similar to this, and I just confused it with this one. So I let's just memorize the answer. It's actually because yeah, it's a very good point, and I apologize for this. The specimen paper questions are actually are like a bit rephrased. So this looks like the exact same question, but it's not. So let's think of this. So this one's obviously incorrect because these are possible. This one's definitely possible when you fold it like this. So this is not possible. So it's between B and D. And when we look at this, yeah, that is a very good point. Yeah, that changed the whole positions. I just realized what it is. Yeah, because when you fold it like this and you fold this in like to the back of this, and I recommend all of you trying this. The holes will be, I believe they'll be around here, and they'll still be. And where else? Yeah, I'd say they'll be around this area here as well, which means that it's still possible. whereas this one would be covering it. Whereas on the other question, it was slightly rephrased, which meant that this one was actually the incorrect answer. So I do apologize for this. They did change the question. I did not realize this. So I apologize if I confused someone. I really apologize for this one. So I've done pretty much all the past papers. So I'm used to seeing these questions, and I was just like, I want the automatic instead of working it out, as I just already memorized the answer for these. So yeah, you are correct indeed. So apology about these guys. It was literally like just a question that was literally this one. Okay, so I'm gonna do is I'm gonna answer some more questions, and then in the meantime, I'll give you guys some of these to go. Can you guys do question 8? Because this is one of my favorite questions. But so someone asked, yes, the scores for UCL is lower than the scores for Imperial for the cutoff, relative to the scores for. So UCL is lower than Imperial, usually speaking. They don't do the analysis anymore in they do that analysis. So it's not stats. So stats is a lot more. So the analysis was mostly statistics, but now that stats problems have now been incorporated into problem solving. So it's not relevant, but it is in a way. Section 2 is harder in terms of time. Section 1 is harder in terms of thinking, and section 3 is harder in terms of like just writing. It depends. They're all hard in their specific aspects. I'd say 7 8s and 2 7s is a decent chance for Cardiff, but it might be on the lower sides for the person that asks. You cut score for Kings 2,800. Yeah, so someone already answered. Thank you for that. For GCSEs and IGCSEs are pretty much the same. The only difference is that the grades are A star letters apart, and the ones in England are numbers. I believe that it's not on Word. No, the BMAT is not going to be on Word. It's going to be on their own platform. Okay, Sheffield. I'll have the check down you. Can you just message me on WhatsApp? I'll just get that sorted. Okay, low UCATs and 9.7 TVs. Okay. I would say that maybe try the BMAT because the ones for the UCATs maybe a bit on the lower sides. I'll recommend saying the BMAT because the UCAT is a bit too low and the GCSEs are not high enough for Cardiff because you need 9 8s. So just be very. Wait, what just happened? One second, guys. There we go. Yeah, I see what happened. Share content, screen, start broadcasting. There we go. Thank you, Apple. Okay. I'll just go over the question. I'll some more questions soon. So, which of the following names should I choose? Okay. This is relevant. This is relevant. Number acronyms are listed. The company suggests that this is irrelevant. They should choose a name which, when painted vertically, from top to bottom on new glass fronts, will be the same as from inside out. So basically, it means that the images can't be mirrored. So look at this. So time. So it's TIME. It will look like this when it's mirrored. So this can't be the option. Nona ends will just look like this. So it can't be B. Dudes, I feel like it will look like this. So it is incorrect because D's are full symmetrical. Well, it is, but in terms of rotation, like rotational symmetry, so I'm talking about here. Whereas with a meter or mitre, everything here checks out. So the answer will be D. And if you want to check we now, it will look like this. So it can't be E as well. Does it make sense, guys? The specimen pivot is slightly easy, yes, it is. But be careful because can you guys see how, like, if you're doing this specimen paper and you literally know the answer, like, because these questions are literally very similar to the ones from past papers. Some of them were even taken and just slightly changed. So do you remember, like, for example, for this one, for the question about the special reasoning, I I just memorized the answer. I was like, yeah, it's this one, but then I was like, oh, actually, it isn't. They changed the question, so you have to be very careful with it as well. Because even then, I did all papers except this first paper was launched this year. So I actually haven't this is the first time I'm looking at it because I thought it was the best way for you guys to actually see how to best prepare. I haven't memorized answers. I'm just working through the questions, and you guys know how I'll work for them. Yeah, the Zoom meeting will also help for the IMAT. Indeed, it will help you for sure because it's very transferable. Yes, I'll take an apply for Kings with 2,870 band 1 and 60 start. It's fine. Looks fine to me. Yeah, we went over a few questions. We're doing that right now. UCL is like 5.8, 5.83-ish, give or take, for a safe score. Which the official section 1 guide, yes, is good for the BMAT, yes, because it's official guide, so it should be pretty decent. What do you mean what's about Oxford's? I applied for Oxford as well, in fact. Is there any quicker way to solve multivariable simultaneous equations? No, literally you just have to spot which ones are the fastest way to do them, but you have to substitute them. You have to do like the equation 1 minus equation 2, substitute here and there. That's the fastest way. You have to be fast with these. Some of them are about speed, some of them are about thinking. So you have to be good at both. Yes, the ones with sets have been removed. Okay, can you show strategies? I'm showing some of them right now. Some of them, I'll look at it for a few sessions. Yeah, BMAT Ninja is alright. If you want the computer strategies, the computer feel, recommend it. How to best learn from mistakes in past papers? Literally, if you get something wrong, see how you got it wrong. Look at what the right answer is. Try to figure it out before you look at marking. Look what you got wrong, and then you for example, if I got this wrong, I'll be like, okay, I'll just try to work it. I'll look at what the right answer is, and I'll try to figure it out, and I'll make sure that I would never do this ever again. And I'll try to think of a method. If I do this question ever again, what method could I use so I don't get this incorrect again? So that's how I go about it. Yeah, there are graphs and tables, but there's no data analysis anymore. So the question with sets, those aren't in the BMAT anymore. Yeah, the majority of tests is usually waffle, even for problem solving. Guys, if you look at this here, oops. This just wastes your time. This is what wastes your time. This is the actual question itself. Choose a name which, when painted vertically, everything else was literally waffle. So you have to be this is kind of techniques that I recommend. Be able to select the data that you need straight away. Because if you're able to extract data very quickly, that's how you become very good at these. Extract the data, think, and then from on new glass front door. So front door, it means it's going to be mirrored. So I have to look for letters that can't be mirrored vertically like this. So they can't be it should be symmetrical. There should be a point of symmetry over here, whereas this one doesn't have one. This one doesn't have one. N doesn't have a point of symmetry vertically, and E doesn't have one as well either for point of symmetry. So you just keep going. You just have to find the vertical point of symmetry. So yeah, it's all about finding methods. You got scores for Imperial. Well, it's usually about, I'll say 3 years of say score. Usually it has been 2.5C, for the cutoff, but I'll say it's going to get higher very soon. So yeah, I recommend a 3A if you want to be safe. Basically. London Unis with a low UCAT, probably not. Stats might be a bit too low, even with a good prediction for A-level. You can go into basically any A-level BMAT uni, because the BMAT unis are all about the BMAT, not about your you just need to get a good BMAT score. because your predictions are solid for yourself. That's solid for any BMAT uni, even Oxbridge. Yes, I mean, I can even send it to you on WhatsApp if you text me, but it's available on the website for Cambridge Assessment. You just Google BMAT, Cambridge Assessment paper, and it's there. Will the CS BMAT test be on computer? Yes, it will. Computer-based past paper questions, maybe BMAT Ninja. Also the demonstration that it's on the website. How many questions? Quality over quantity. Some people do 10, like, make sure it's all about this learning strategy. So you can do, if you do 100 and you don't learn anything, then there's no point. If you do 10 and you know 10 strategies, that is a lot better. So it depends on how you prepare. But I'd say about 20 is all right, 20 to 30. And close to the test, do about 100 to build endurance as well. So 100 in a row if you want to build endurance for the test. Yes, critical thinking first. I usually do that personally. Yeah, start doing practice questions soon. Yes, the Cambridge Assessments critical thinking problem solving book, the guide, the official knowledge guides, not the blue book on Amazon. That one is not good. I don't recommend that one. Look for the one that's free on the website. 2,702 for St. George is solid. For Kings, might be a bit too low. What else? So okay, guys. So what do you if you stop with all the past papers? Use all the past papers. Natural sciences, NSAA, ENGA, ECA, TSA, IMAT. You have like, why don't you stop with BMAT? You have other admission tests that have been written, because the people that write the BMAT are the same people that write the TSA. People that write the TSA are the same people that write the NSAA. It's like they're all the same people. So why stop at BMAT when you have other questions? That's how I see it personally. The records will be available on the 6med website on 6med.co.uk/QA/surgery or dash. What can you find these past papers that are using on the Cambridge Assessment website? Okay, 28 questions left. Score for leads, 4s and 3As, safe score. 2,710, band 3 for Kings, a bit too low, especially band 3. Okay. Yes, you can definitely improve section 1. Like I've told you, like I have students that went from a 3 to a 6, so it's definitely possible. Okay, what else? 28 questions. Main techniques will be covered in the future, but I've just covered like some random, like general techniques because it's just not. I mean to be a bit general, not to because like if I have about like 40 hours worth of content for strategies, so like it's like 4 times more than the time that I get for the surgeries. So there's not a lot of time to actually cover all of them, unfortunately. So I'm covering the general ones. So I feel like those were like we get used to like the minimum standards at the very least, because that is the aim. Okay, what else? The UK average will decrease a bit. I'd say it's similar to 2020, but the FTG will be a bit lower for band 1, specifically as well. Lancaster and BMAT for UCL, 4s is usually the safe score. Like 4 for like anything, if it's not in London or Oxbridge, 4s are okay. 5s you want to be a safer, and then 5s the minimum UCL and Imperial, 6s are safer, Oxbridge 6 is safe, 7 is like the safe, where 6 is the minimum. Usually. Well, it depends on like your GCSEs and like other settings as well, but like academic circumstances and all that, so it depends. For learning techniques, what would be on a class? And yeah, I'd say so. Well, it depends on what you mean by enough. Do you mean by getting 9? I wouldn't say so. If you mean like a 6, yeah, sure. But it's like the highest scores. You need something that others don't know. If you want to get if you want to get 7s, 8s, and 9s, you need knowledge that others don't have. That's usually how it works. Be my YouTube channel. I'll plug the channel now in the chat actually. So 1 sec. You can subscribe because there'll be more videos. I'm gonna do interviews. I'm gonna do a lot of stuff in my channel in the very near future. I'm going to drop a couple of videos. I'm just waiting for some camera gear to arrive, so it's actually going to be a bit more useful. But here's the link to the channel if you guys want. So if you want to, that's one of my videos. You can just subscribe to the channel and do automatically. And yeah, I'll even for like so. I'm gonna like shorten this link 1 sec. Can I just shorten something very quickly or not? I bet it's gonna take ages, isn't it? Oh, it didn't. Nice. So create the long URL, and then create. Okay, so the link is bit.ly, so bit.ly.martin. So if you want to go to my channel, there's one of my videos. I look like an absolute egg on one of the videos. I don't know why I had that haircut. I think it was like a bet with some friends. So I just had that for the day. But bit.ly / BMAT Martin with an M at the end. So this will take you to my YouTube channel, and you can just subscribe, and there'll be more stuff soon in the future. Okay, that's the YouTube channel. BMAT, interview tips, UCATs. There's going to be a lot of it, especially for next year as well. The 2003-2020 papers are available on the Cambridge Assessment website as well. How much practice? As much as you can. Like the more practice, the better for BMAT. For spatial reasoning, it's just practice. The more you do it, the more you'll see it. It's like abstract reasoning. Okay, is the problem solving in BMAT similar to the actual problem solving qualification some people take? No, it's quite different. It's a bit different. Over admission test. So for problem solving, ECHA, section 1. For part A, you have DSA, Oxford section 1, and you have the IMAT for the first like 10 questions, maybe problem solving. And that's about it, I would say. Sure, if you get stuck on a question, you can message me. You can also message the group chats, and people will answer your questions well, because sometimes I'm a bit too busy with tutoring and other stuff. So post on the group chats. If no one answers, I'll answer it. I'll be honest, I did 10,000 questions before I did my BMAT. So I did basically everything that exists out there. I don't recommend doing 10,000 questions. I'll say about 20 or 30 full marks is what I recommend for the highest scores. Anything else is not valuable unless you can bring value to it. It's all about how much value you can give. Like one paper, like my students got a 6 from one past paper because I taught her the techniques. Like she knew exactly what to look for, how to get a better. So it's about, even one past paper can be more valuable than 20 if you know what you're doing and you have someone that helps you and guides you, or you're good at spotting stuff as well. Is it safe to apply to UCL? I'll say UCL is a bit safer than Imperial, especially if you have a good personal statement because they're a bit more holistic. So yeah. If you use all past papers, use other admission sets as well. That's what I recommend. You're not supposed to memorize the periodic table. You're not supposed to memorize the trends. So for example, in section 2, for example, like the trends. So you have to know lithium. There's going to be sodium, potassium, lanthanum, francium, no, cesium, and then francium. Yeah. So you have to know all of them because lanthanum is one of the. So not many people know about that compound. because people don't learn it, but you have to learn all the elements. You don't have to learn the mass numbers, but you have to know the elements and where they send the periodic table. So it'd be like Li, Na, K, CS, and FR, francium. So you'd be like, yeah, this is group one. And you'd be like, yeah, as group one goes down, this becomes more reactive, etc. So yeah, it's just it depends. Like if you have to make the minimum predictions, you have to check the websites. I don't know them from the top of my head, but I'd say that I think Imperial you'll need 3 A's predicted. I think UCL is A star AA, but I have to check that. But I think it's one of them accepts only 3 A's, so it's worth checking that. I will continue with questions in a second. I'm just finishing and the rest of the questions. Good personal statements. Watch the video that I see right here, bit.ly.martin. I talk about what personal statements looks like. I even show some of mine as well, if you want to look at it. If you're getting a 6.3 in section 1 for all papers, what do you think you'd get in the hardest section 1? I'd say 4.5 or 4.3 for the older papers, like translating it. So 2 scores below. Well, you can, yes, but you need, like, my students are only using past papers and BMAT Ninja, but like, they're also kind of cheating because I'm giving them all the techniques and stuff. But they're getting like 6s, 7s, even 8s now. Some of them are even for 9s. So like, you know, it's all about how you prepare. Like, it's all about strategies, not the contents. But yes, it's definitely possible to get a 7. It's hard because you don't have people giving, because the strategies out there are very generic. So you need something that people don't know in order to actually do better. Because, you know, if everyone uses the same company, then let's say the average is going to be, because if everyone uses the same company, then the average is going to be the average person. If everyone uses 6 meds, the average, let's say every candidate in the BI uses 6 meds. So the average will be like your average 6 med person. So like standing out from the crowd is going to be very hard because not many people have the, like, you need something in order to get into these, like right here, like 7s, 8s, 9s. You need something that others don't know. That's what I've seen from my friends that got 7s, 8s, 9s, and from my experience scoring really high in the BMAT as well. BMAT score. Okay, so for some of you, it's technically a 9 in section 1, but it isn't for a reason. So my real score in section 1 is 6.8, 28 out of 32. And this is because last year, some of you know, people had technical issues. So I had 5 minutes taken off. So I had 5 minutes taken off my section 1. So I had to skip 4 questions, which is why I didn't get 32 out of 32, because Cambridge assessments. So I'm technically a 9 person. I told one of my friends, BMAT section 1, he got 9. So I'm technically a 9 candidate, but not really officially. Which is why I'm also seeing BMAT this year again, just for the flex and also for the fun of it. Okay. Yeah, by doing past papers will get better and techniques as well. So you have to analyze the papers, extract data. How would you recommend to start solving BMAT questions for the 6-minute question bank? I should just do past papers. I should prefer doing past papers instead of like I just use BMAT Ninja for like the feel of the computer, like the computer exam, but I don't think it's like, this is me, awesome. I don't get a lot of value from it. Some people do, like I know some of my teachers, they love it. But it's just past papers. So it's up to you whether you think you would benefit from that. Like, it's just, like you didn't care that I didn't care that UCAL was on a computer. It did not make a difference to me because I always do my work on paper and then I just like look at it, yeah, answer. I don't think there's a big difference from that. Say score for Imperial. If you're a home student, 5.8. If you're, or even a 6. If you're an international, 6.8. Other questions in all difficulty? No, they are random. So some of the questions are easier, some of the questions are harder. Okay. When should I know how to guess a question and how should I go about making a good guess? Guess C. C is usually the most common question. So statistically speaking, these are usually the answers. A and E are usually not the answers. So these are usually the most common. I usually just go for C. Just pick the same answer. If you don't know, just pick C. That's usually the answer. Like I'll just pick C if I don't know something. Like look, that correct answer is D in this case. What I mean, like C and D are usually the correct ones. So you just have to like bear that in mind as well. So yeah, I don't do physics A-level maths. Yeah, it's quite difficult because the thing is, if people do A-level maths, it's kind of hard because the maths section doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you did A-level maths or A-level further maths because the maths is different from where you're in A-level. So you just have to bear that in mind. Do you agree with the second advice? They shouldn't just do all the CD questions first. Well, no. I give some different advice personally, but as in a 6 month webinar, I should say yes. But I don't. That's not how I do it. That's not how I do it in my tests. That's not how my students are doing in their tests. I don't. We're doing it a very specific way of tests, and it works. Can I show the recording? Yes, it's going to be on the 6 minute website. It's difficult for everyone. Like it doesn't matter if you did A-level physics or not. It's going to be easier because you know the contents. But in terms of practice, if once you know the contents again, then you're in the same position as someone did it physics. Pretty much, it doesn't matter. Don't skip physics questions, please, because some of the physics questions are very easy, and there's no point in skipping them as well. How do you practice for the analysis questions are in the older papers? Just learn, like, just approach them like, read a question. So, for example, imagine that you had to read all of this for the paper. Sorry, guys, one sec. Sorry, I have a cat and he's being a bit noisy. So how do you practice the analysis? So basically, let's say you have to read this and this. Then read this question, look for this, that's the information here. Read the next question, try to scan information for it. It's like, do you know how you did verbal reasoning in the UCATs? Like, you did the question, scan for the passage. It's very similar to VR, the same methods. So approach them, use the VR technique like to scan stuff, but do it with the BMAT methods. So it's kind of, so do the question in the same structure as VR, but the methods are the BMAT methods. Hope that makes sense. Resources to prepare recording, it's on, I'll send it in the chat if you want. Okay, so https sixmed.co.uk QA surgery. There we go. That's the link for the, yeah, it's just going to be sixmed.co.uk/QA surgery. If you want to find the recordings for this. Yeah, where can I find techniques? On courses, on books, on YouTube, it's everywhere. Just like anything you can think of, you will find techniques. Resources for the essay, well, courses, like it's not the same like the same for everything else. Like look at the guys, look at example essays, go on YouTube, go to courses, get tutors, whatever. Course, classroom courses, like literally everything you can think of. That's how you, it depends on what kind of results you're looking for, but is as creative as it gets. Like be creative. You'll find strategies and resources everywhere. Okay, so we have like let's do questions now, which is about visual and spatial. Those are mostly practice. Like you just have to think about. You just have to like, and this is very hard. But there's an app called IQ Test on Android, and this app has paper folding in it. I recommend doing that for practice as well. It's going to be very ideal. It's going to help you quite a lot. Okay, resources that give the best technique. There's not such thing as the best resource because each resource has like strengths and weaknesses. So just bear that in mind as well. Is that you have strengths and weaknesses. So there's not such thing as the best resource. Okay, so yeah, we have more questions on the chat. Do you guys have any more questions? I'm just wondering. Any more questions, guys? Any questions, guys? All right. I think that there's more questions. There are no more questions, so I'll just keep doing some more questions for like the. It's 4:30. It has been going on for 2 hours and 30 minutes. Then I'll just do a couple of more questions here and there, and then yeah, it's okay to start revising 2 weeks before the BMAT. Totally fine, but you have to be effective. Effective revision is what will get a good score with that time frame. Make sure you start learning at least the minimum, the bare minimum. Okay, can we do question 7, guys? Let's do question 7. I'll do like 5 more questions and then I'll just do it because it was less than an hour. I've literally overrun for a while. I don't mind. But yeah, it's gonna. I'll be doing all the BMAT sessions. So if you have any specific things that you want me to cover, you can always message in WhatsApp. So you just go this number right here. If you want to answer any questions on, on WhatsApp, that if you want me to cover anything in particular, you can always ask on WhatsApp and I'll look into it. I used the section 2 as a knowledge guide to learn the contents. Okay. Any guys? I need some answers before I start going through this question. Let me know once you have an answer for the question 7. Okay, if you're new to the BMAT, you use this. Section 2 assumed knowledge guides. On the Cambridge assessment website. So this is the first step. Then just past papers and techniques. If you want to tutor, just go for it, but it depends on how good you are at this. No, it's not. I just feel like there is different types of things in each guide. So like I prefer the assumed knowledge guide, and I give my students like a top-up version of the guide that I've made. But that's just a bit random. But yeah, you don't need the student knowledge guide, but I think you should because the people writing your exam wrote that, so I don't see why you shouldn't use it. But that's just Martin's 2 cents. Okay, so let's just go over this question. I have an answer here. Okay, so no worries, lads. If you have any question, you can also ask me on WhatsApp as well. I'll be not always, but I will try to answer your question as soon as possible. Okay, wow. My phone just died, which is not my laptop just died, which is not ideal. So I'll keep going with my laptop. I just did not realize. So there we go. See, that is perfect, isn't it? Okay, can you guys see me? I'm not sure. Can you guys see me? I'm not sure if you can see my face. Okay, good. I can't see myself. My laptop just died. I've been here 2 hours and 30. I didn't realize. Time flies. I'll go over 5 more questions. I'll go because my laptop and my iPad. I still have to charge my iPad for the future session as well. I'm gonna have today. Okay, so Jonathan is planning to use a 10-acre field to supply water to large for his cattle and for his sheep. He reckons 100 bales of hay for each acre. Before cutting the hay, he'll cut an acre around the edge of the field at large. This allows him to maneuver his hay-making machinery after making hay in June. He'll cut the whole field a second cut to large in August, and again as a first cut in September. His farm manual private launch. Okay. What bales of large will Jonathan have by the end of his harvest? Okay. Very interesting. So first comments that I have here is that okay, so I'm just gonna have a quick thing because I haven't done this question before. So I'm just thinking. Okay, so would that mean that I feel like I'm just trying to eliminate stuff. I feel like this one just looks too like low, and this one just looks too big, but they might be wrong. So I'm just gonna just check this again. Okay, so 10-acre fields, 100 bales for each acre. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Okay, so I'll just eliminate these two because I think they look just too big. I might be wrong, but I think it's going to be B or C. So you must concentrate on the silage and ignore the information given regarding the hay. So only 1 acre field is silage at the first cut, which produces 7 bales. So first cut, because he'll cut an acre around the edge. So I just want 1 acre. Oh, oops. Okay, so 1 acre equals 7 bales. Okay, and then in June he'll cut the whole field as a second cut in August. So he's going to get essentially. So he has 10 acres. 5 times 10 equals 50, and then again, so 4 times 10, which equals to 40. So the correct answer will be 97. So 40 plus 50 plus 7 is going to be 97, just C. Any questions, guys, we have? I'll just check Zoom now. UCAT revision, I do, but I'm not that special in UCAT. I find it boring. I find UCAT boring, so I prefer BMAT. I enjoy it. They'll be recording. I'm not about to finish. I'll probably just like two, 3 more questions now, and then that's it. Okay, I'll do one more question because I have a meeting at 4:45, and this is meant to end like 3 or 3:30. So I'll just do another one. Okay, so can we do a question 6, guys, please? This is the last question, and then that's it. So can all please do question 6? In the meantime, I think I will just get a charger for my laptop, see if I can actually just manage to get back on this session. Okay. Come on, Mr. There we go. Okay, my laptop is here. I'll see if I can get back with the second account. But in the meantime, can you guys just give me some answers in the chat? Once I'll give you guys a minute once I'm still actually trying to get back from the session with my laptop, and then that'll be it. So we're in 2 minutes. Okay. Yeah, sure. It's on the website. So that's the website for the surgeries and the links there. Okay, guys, do you have any more questions? Okay, do you have the answers for this question as well? Let me just check the Q&A. Okay, why don't you multiply by 7 by 10? It's because, okay. Essentially, let me just show you why this one. So let's look at the question a bit over again. Okay, so it has 10 acres, right? 10 acres of fields. This is the first thing we have to look for. Here you can get 100 bales of hay. So hay is like, it's not silage, it's like irrelevant, silage, whatever. So before cutting the hay, he will cut an acre around the edge of the field sludge. So 1 acre, an acre is one, an acre, 1 acre, a sludge in the first cut. So first cut, an acre. So first cut, 1 acre, so just 7. So it's 7 plus, so it's 7 acre. 7 times 1 is still 7. That's the first. Then this long-term maneuver with his hay, making machinery. After he makes his hay, in June, he'll count the whole field as second cut large splitch. So the whole field, whereas the other ones is only 1 acre. This one's the whole field. The whole field is 10 acres. So it's like 10 times 5 and 10 times 4, which equals 40, equals 50, 40 plus 50 plus 7 equals 97, which is therefore C. Hope that makes sense. Okay, now I'm going to do the last question here, which is the car question. Okay, so Lincoln car hires out cars at the cost of 50 per day. If number of miles traveled is less than 80, there's an extra charge of £1 for every mile travels over 80 miles. Dunford's hired charge of £60 per day for being charged in every 50p for every mile traveled. How many miles traveled? The cost of hiring a car would be the same for both companies. Okay, so it's less than 80. So essentially, we're saying that total cost is going to be £50. I'm going to just put, I can't put my laptop on the thing. Okay, I'm going to just do it here. So it's going to be 50 quid plus 1. So it's going to be £1 per mile. X miles minus 80 because they only look at the ones for over 80 miles. So over 80 is the one that counts. So anything above 80 is 0. So when it starts to count, equals, because it must be the same costs for both companies. 60 plus 50p for every mile. So for 0.5x. So he gets 50 plus x minus 80 is equals to 60 plus 0.5x. Now we can just say that it's going to be minus 30, x minus 30 equals 60 plus 0.5. You just put both on this. So you get 0.5x. Wait a second. How have I messed up something? I feel like I might have. I think my algebra was a bit dodgy, so I'm going to double check this. Okay. So. Yeah, I think it looks alright. I was just because I got some other answers in the chat, so I'm just going to check my workings real quick. And before there's another question of those where it looks like a question that I've seen, but so they've just changed it just for the laughs. Okay, so 0.5x equals 90, so x equals 180, which is E. And I've just checked the answer is E indeed, so I am correct. So yeah, guys, this is going to be it for the session because my laptop which has basically no battery, my iPad's and battery for my meeting. I have a meeting in exactly 1 minute, so I hope you guys find it useful. And yeah, so if you have more questions, you can always message me on WhatsApp as well. You can literally just like go on WhatsApp. You can go on, the recordings here. No worries, guys. I hope it was helpful. If you need anything else, then I'm always here. And thank you for the surgery. Goodbye, guys.